especially places like Newsmax, are going to continue to tell this story and try to paint her as a victim. Thank you, Obi. Not a victim. I just want to listen to this sound again. I'm sorry. This is just too important.
And this week, President Trump didn't rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. Of course, that's one of the big questions looming over all of this. So let me put this to you, Mr. Speaker. Would you support a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker?
No, right?
Well, I mean, obviously, that's a decision of the president. He said he had not adequately considered that. I won't get in front of him. That's not my lane. I'm going to say this as clearly.
Okay, whatever. I'm sick of fucking listening to you. And just because MAGA, in particular, the MAGA men who are mediocre at best on a really good day, you're in the same boat. Actually, you're going to go one step further. You're going to say, yeah, she should get pardoned because she'll blow the cover off it. And we all know what's going to happen, so I want to prepare you guys for this, okay? And don't forget, the $2 die has been cast. If you'd like to participate, we are crowdfunded here. If you appreciate what we do every single day, a couple bucks here and there is always appreciated, never expected, but I'll thank you in advance. If she testifies, and I still think that there's an if there, I believe the pardon has already been dangled and the commutation has already been dangled. And then there's the whole, again, just the reporting, just so we're staying on the same page. She's formally petitioned, she being Maxwell and her attorney, has formally petitioned, I'm going to refer to her as the predator. The predator has formally petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn her 2021 trafficking conviction, arguing that a 2007 non-prosecution agreement signed by Epstein promised immunity to any potential co-conspirators, which Maxwell says covers her even outside of Florida. She has proclaimed her innocence, but yet she's asking the Supreme Court not to review the facts of the case and her conviction for her crimes, simply that it's paperwork, that I should be out of jail because this non-prosecution agreement, because the only way she could be using that attempt in her appeal is by acknowledging that she is a co-conspirator. Okay? So there's that. Maxwell met with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche for several hours, reportedly answering questions reportedly about around 100 or so individuals. So once again, Pam Bondi, client list is on my desk. I'll be reviewing the client list. I'll be sharing that. Then all of a sudden, oh yeah, there's nothing to see here. There's no list. Well, then how did Todd Blanche get his hands on a list of names? Was that from the Black Book, which we know came out last year? Was that from the flight logs, which we know came out? Don't forget, information released under the Biden administration that the court released, right? These are the facts. By the way, I got a DM from somebody last night that said I sit up here and spread misinformation every single day. And I said, well, then request and we'll talk about it because I don't know when I'm spreading misinformation. Those are the facts of the case. You may not like it, but that's what the details are. I'm sorry, I don't get my news from Newsmax. I read court records. I read witness statements. I read testimony. I read charging documents. I read evidence. But anyway, different conversation. So she's offered to testify before the House Oversight Committee on August 11th, but only if granted immunity or presidential pardon. I don't see how. I don't know how she would even consider testifying if she didn't have the pardon in place. I think that's the biggest thing. I want to play, I've got some sound here from Caitlin Collins because she kind of breaks this down a little bit more. Caitlin Collins, reporter for CNN. I hope she leaves CNN because she's such a good reporter. I just don't like her over there. Can't stand the programming on CNN. I don't watch it, but I like her.
To Washington today, and we just got word on Ghislaine Maxwell's response to that congressional subpoena seeking her testimony. Her attorneys have just sent a letter to the House Oversight Chair, James Comer, saying initially they were just going to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights, but they say now that they are willing to cooperate if, and this is a huge if, some big demands are met. One, that includes her being granted formal immunity for her testimony, so she can't be prosecuted for anything she says. Secondly, they'd like for this interview to take place outside of the correctional facility where she's currently serving her 20-year sentence. And they say that in order to prepare for this deposition, and given the volume of materials that she'd have to sort through beforehand, that she needs the questions written and in advance from the committee before she would go and answer them. They say in this letter that surprise questioning, in their view, would be, quote, unproductive. They also say that any testimony that she would give would have to happen after her fight with the Supreme Court over her conviction. Right now, she's appealing that conviction, and this is something that could go on for months, meaning if that testimony is going to happen, it could be quite some time before it even occurs. However, that immunity demand is a big one because we heard from the House Oversight Chair, James Comer, who said he didn't think it would be likely that anyone would want to grant immunity to someone who has been convicted of child sex trafficking.
You would think.
Afraid they might.
Why doesn't your boss seem to think that, James? I mean, James Comer with some integrity? Wow. So, this is what we know. What we know is that the right-wing echo chamber, in particular Newsmax, which is gaining popularity, uttered by other people, claiming that Ghislaine Maxwell is a victim. She's not. We now know Donald Trump's own words saying that, hey, well, he stole. That's the reason I actually kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, because he stole people from me. Minors. Virginia. Working as a massage therapist at 17 years old in Mar-a-Lago. Ghislaine Maxwell, in some of the evidence that came out in her trial, Mar-a-Lago was where they recruited a lot of the young girls from, as a matter of fact. We know that from testimony. We know that from witness statements. We know that from evidence. Okay? We know that. Then Trump says, well, the real reason that I kicked him out was because he stole girls from me. That girl that he stole, Virginia, was then trafficked to Prince Andrew and others at the age of 17. Okay? That's the timeline. And the madam here, I won't even call her that because I support sex work. The person who, the predator here, the recruiter, the indoctrinator, the groomer, she's not a victim. And Mike Johnson, the Christian, I have myself and my son are each other's corn monitors. Mike Johnson, that guy, devout in his faith, can't even answer a simple question about whether or not we should be considering pardoning her. Oh, it's not my lane. I have an opinion on that. No. The answer is no. The answer is no. If anybody is asked that question, I don't care what your job is. I don't care what your position is. I don't care what your role is. Don't give a fuck. If you're asked a question, should a person who's been convicted with witness testimony of the crimes that Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of, should she be pardoned? Oh, no, absolutely not. Not, well, it's not really my lane. I don't want to get out ahead of the president. Fuck you, Mike. Fuck you. Friends, there's 1,600 people in here. If we could really crank out those likes, I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget, we have a gifting goal today. And don't forget that we are 30 subscribers away from our next round of goodies. We'll spin the wheel on Friday if we can get 30 more subscribers. And again, don't forget, we are crowdfunded. Thank you very much. Okay, let me take a little breath because this is just, I don't like having to cover this story every day. But I want to cover this story every day because the victims in this case are the ones that are never going to get justice. They're never going to get justice. We have to tell their stories. We have to remind people that these are girls. Hey, Barrister, good to see you. These are girls. These are young children. Girls. 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, passed around like they're a cocktail. They're girls. And young boys subjected to abuse, trafficked. They're children. They're children. And are you guys so, the right has, do you hate brown-skinned people so much that you're going to tolerate this? I mean, I'm going to talk about this every single day, every day. This is a scandal that touches everything. Again, this is just I just came up with this theory on my own about Larry Summers, but I don't think it's a coincidence. Nothing's a coincidence anymore. Donald Trump names Larry Summers in that statement that he made. You should be looking into Larry Summers. And then next day, Harvard comes out with a settlement offer on the lawsuit against the Trump administration. Larry Summers is the president of Harvard. Come on. Like, it's not a coincidence. This is, in my opinion, if there is any, I want to be careful how I say this. There's no silver lining in any of this. If there's anything potentially positive, I'm struggling for the right words here. If there's anything potentially positive that could come from this, is I believe a potentially global trafficking network could be exposed. And anybody and everybody connected to it because of that bullshit non-prosecution agreement will be exposed. I don't care fucking who it is. I do not care. And here's a little advice for you mouth-breathing potatoes that are in the chat. It's not a flex to say, well, Clinton's on the list. We don't give a shit. We don't care. I don't care who is on the list. I don't care if my best friend from elementary school is on the list. I don't give a shit. Yeah, exactly, dude. This is one of the reasons that women don't report crimes is because people don't fucking believe them. I believe women. If you're going to ask me if I'm going to be looking at a victim who's testifying against Ghislaine Maxwell, a girl, for the crimes committed against her, if you're going to ask me if I'm going to believe her or the person who committed the crimes, who was went to jail, I'm going to believe the victim. Ghislaine Maxwell is not a victim. We don't care who's on the list. Why are you guys trying to defend it? Why are you creating every possible scenario in your head to try to justify this? There are people that are out there right now that think Donald Trump is the only person willing to expose everybody because he's not connected to it. I don't know how we come back from this. Here's some more reporting on the breaking news of Donald Trump's confession, basically saying, oh yeah, that she worked for me. She was a minor. She worked for me in the massage. Keep in mind, this is one of the things that Ghislaine Maxwell did during testimony. She trained young girls how to handle men, how to massage them, how to excite them, how to happy ending them. And she did it under the guise of being a traveling massage therapist. And Donald Trump admitted that Virginia worked in the spa. What more information do you need? Is it fake news? Am I up here spreading misinformation? Or is it, what's more likely? Let's play a little game, okay? Let's play a little game. What's more likely? That Virginia's testimony and Prince Andrew settling that case, even though he never admitted guilt, what's more likely? That Virginia was groomed by Ghislaine Maxwell, raped by Jeffrey Epstein and others, and then discarded, and then she testified to that, the fact that she used to work at Mar-a-Lago. Is that more likely, or is it more likely that Donald Trump's got nothing to do with this? Admit liberals are right, pardon the predator. Okay. Trump wants to move on. This is reported by CNN. Trump wants to move on from his administration's fiasco over the Jeffrey Epstein files, but he keeps hampering the effort by opening his mouth. The most recent statement has to do with precisely why the two men had falling out about 2 decades ago. Trump acknowledged yesterday that the employees who he said Monday that Epstein poached from him, triggering their breakup, were young women, girls, who worked in the spa at his Mar-a-Lago club. The answer is yes. Yes, they were, he told reporters on Air Force One while traveling back from Scotland. The answer doesn't just call into question Trump's honesty about his relationship with Epstein, but also his potential knowledge of the accused trafficker's misconduct. Trump has not been accused of any wrongdoing in connection with Epstein as of yet. Well, He hasn't been, it's not true. He's been accused. He's never been tried. There have been allegations made against him. There's been witness testimony against him. So I disagree with that statement. A day earlier, the president said that he'd fallen out because Epstein, quote, stole people that worked for me, including after he had warned Epstein not to do it again. But Trump had made no mention of the employees being young women. Funny. Why would he not say that? And the White House last week said Trump barred Epstein from Mar-a-Lago for being a creep. Trump on Tuesday said the two reasons were sort of a little bit of the same thing. But back in 2019, reporting traced their fallout to another factor entirely. The two powerful real estate men competing for the same Palm Beach property. It's clear that this is something of a sensitive subject. After Epstein's arrest in 2019, Trump declined to go into detail about their falling out, telling reporters the reason doesn't make any difference, frankly. But it surely does now, doesn't it? So where does the truth lie? Trump was the most forthcoming so far on Tuesday. Epstein hired away Mar-a-Lago spa employees more than once, Trump said, even after being warned against it, prompting him to cut ties with Epstein and throw him out of the club. I said, quote, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was a spa or not spa, Trump told reporters. And then not too long after that, he did it again, and I said, out of here. He also acknowledged that one of those employees may have been Virginia, one of Epstein's most prominent accusers who took her own life earlier this year. I think she worked at the spa, Trump said. I think that was one of the people. Yeah, he stole her. With these answers, there's clear overlap between Trump's account Monday and what the White House said last week. I wouldn't talk to him because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help, Trump said of Epstein on Monday. He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again, and I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it. And then last week, the White House said, the fact is the president kicked Epstein out of his club for being a creep. Both of these accounts differ from the falling out portrayed in 2019 when the Washington Post reported about the two men competing for a bankrupted oceanfront property called Maison de la Marty, pardon my French, a process that included plenty of hard-nosed tactics. The first the Trump White House acknowledged at the time did not comment or deny the story. When asked for a comment on Tuesday, the White House said nothing more to add to POTUS's comments, still plenty of unanswered questions. Trump casting Epstein as merely having stolen employees, even young women from the spa, would be a pretty shocking way to characterize recruiting someone into a trafficking ring. I would say the whole thing certainly adds to questions about what Trump knew and when about Epstein's activities. Those questions had already been relevant for a host of reasons. There's the infamous 2002 Trump comment about how Epstein, quote, likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. There's the Florida businessman who has said he expressed discomfort to Trump about putting on a calendar girl event with Epstein when only he and Trump were present. I said, look, Donald, I know Jeffrey really well. I can't have him going after younger girls. He recalled Trump telling him, according to the New York Times. And then there's longtime Trump advisor Roger Stone's 2016 book, in which he quoted Trump by saying how Epstein's swimming pool was full of beautiful young girls. Really young girls. How nice, I thought, Trump said, according to Stone. He let the neighborhood kids use his pool. These people are fucking sick. And then there's another report, another reported scene at Mar-a-Lago in a 2020 book by reporters in the Miami Herald and Wall Street Journal, reported that Trump actually severed ties with Epstein after he, quote, hit on a Mar-a-Lago member's teenage daughter. So which story is it? There's four different reasons. There's four different reasons here. Which one is it? The way this person described it, such an act could irreparably harm the Trump brand, leaving Donald no choice but to remove Epstein. What's particularly striking here is the timeline. In former Trump aide Sam Nernberg's telling to the Washington Post in 2019, Trump's excommunication of Epstein from his club for recruiting a young woman for massage came years before Epstein's sex trafficking investigation became public knowledge. That would mean years before 2005. But that, and Trump's own comments on Tuesday, suggest the president might have already known something about unsavory character Epstein's actions and was going on before a lot of other people did. Virginia, after all, was a teenage employee during the relevant period. The president doesn't seem to want to talk about that, but as with so many other of his answers on Epstein, that only leads to more questions. That's kind of the story, isn't it? Right? Isn't that sort of the story? Do we need any more information? Do we need any more evidence? If it wasn't, how do I want to say this? There are so many inconsistencies with these stories. So many. There are so many things to unpack and changes. So many examples of the blatant corruption and scandal that this is. All I want is for the victims' voices to be heard. I want this to be a, July 30th, 2025. I want this date to be remembered as there are victims of these crimes that will never see justice. Never. It's another example as to why women don't report incidences of abuse, because people don't believe them. So here we are. Here we are. MAGA is going to twist themselves into a pretzel, because if Ghislaine Maxwell testifies, and we don't know if she's going to, we don't know what she's going to say, if she's going to talk at all. We don't know if she's going to take her Fifth Amendment rights. We don't know how, what she'll expose and who. But if she goes and testifies and names everybody but Donald Trump, then the right's going to be like, yep, you see that? We can believe her. She told us Trump wasn't on the list. And MAGA is going to believe her. They're going to believe her. And people in the right-wing spaces are going to believe her. And Jesse Waters is going to believe her. And Greg Kelly's going to believe her. And people in the circles, the tight circles, Benny Johnsons of the world, they're going to believe her. Instead, we should be believing the victims. Who do you want to believe? Remember how we did that exercise like in 20 years? Grandkids are going to walk up into their attic, right? And they're going to find the box hidden under Christmas ornaments and all kinds of other shit hidden in the corner. So they're hoping nobody would find it. They open the box. They see a red hat. They see a flag with Trump with his shirt off, flying a pterodactyl. They see MAGA cologne. They see gold sneakers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then because Democrats won elections and we were able to reinvest in our education system and overfund public education for the first time, all this information still becomes available in the public lexicon. And then little Sally or little Johnny walks downstairs and says, Grandma, Grandpa, did you support Donald Trump? What are you going to say? Because we what about the Epstein files? That was like a horrible situation. His name was all over those files, and there's all this evidence that he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Did you support Donald Trump? What are you going to do then? You going to say no? We found the box, got the receipts, we found the information. You gonna believe them? You gonna believe the victims? Do you see why this is so important? Yeah, they'll lie. They said it was planted. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I want to say, I'm not even sure how to say this. It's not like I'm out desperately trying to find, I don't even like the term common ground. Just an ability for us to say, do we want people who are abusing children and committing some of the most just despicable acts imaginable? Do we want all of them held accountable? If the answer is not immediately yes, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Yeah, you're right, Andy. To find humanity, this is even, we're talking about children. We're talking about kids. Now, we know by and large that you people on the right don't give a fuck about your kids. You care about controlling women. You care about making sure that you can keep women in the kitchen. You don't care about kids, because if you did, you wouldn't be cheering for cutting SNAP benefits. You don't care about kids. You don't give a shit about them, because you would be cheering on advancing public education and public health services in communities. You would invest in that. Instead, what we've learned recently is that the people that are going to take advantage, the people that are going to be getting vouchers for charter schools and for voucher programs already have the money. They don't need it. What are they going to do with it? They're going to go out and buy something fancy. And then other people are going to be suffering. You don't care about kids. You don't. You could be in deepest, darkest Trump country, a county that Trump won by 70 points. You could have your family. You could live at the cul-de-sac. You could have your little split level and your backyard and 3 kids. And I, fingernail polish wearing, silver-haired liberal who lives in the communist haven of Vermont, cares more about your kids than you do. It's true. It's true. It's not debatable. It's not debatable. Because if you are not 100%, 1,000 toes down saying, I demand fucking answers on this, I demand people who did this, I don't care who it is, I demand that we hold them accountable. Every single one of them. Everyone. No questions asked. Good morning, brother. How are you?
Morning, Steve. How we doing?
All right, man. What's going on?
Well, I just wanted to point out to someone in the chat said she'd plead the fifth if she went before Congress. If she accepts a pardon, she cannot plead the fifth. That's not allowed because if you accept a pardon, you have admitted you committed these crimes. Thus, you cannot plead the fifth to not incriminate yourself. The Supreme Court ruled about that years ago.
Well, pardons could also be preemptive. So you can accept a pardon without necessarily committing a crime. Your point is part of the, and I think I'm right about that. Like a pardon can be given preemptively, right? You may not have committed anything.
Yeah, it can be, but in her case, the pardon, if they gave her a pardon, it would be for what she's convicted of now.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that would be why. Correct.
Preemptive, because like Biden preemptively pardoned a bunch of people on his way out, figuring that Trump would go after them. So that's a preemptive pardon. But if they were to pardon her, it can't be a preemptive pardon because she's already been convicted.
That's right. Exactly.
So she can't plead the fifth.
Yeah, I think you're right. I can't see how she'd be able to do that. Once again, then don't forget the pardon also potentially excuses her of any future crimes like perjury, for example. So she could perjure herself and kind of get away with it.
Exactly. But the whole thing that's killing me is, and I need someone from MAGA who speaks MAGA to figure that out for me. So there was a client list that was on Pam Bondi's desk until there was no client list because it didn't exist. But then Trump's not in the files, but if he's in the files, it's because Obama and them made up the files. So the files are fake, even though he's not in them, and they never released the files that were fake that put him in them. I'm very confused. And then Obama committed treason because everybody said the Russians interfered with the election, including the Republicans and the special counsels appointed by Trump's DOJ, all said the Russians influenced the election. And Obama came out and said the Russians never hacked into the voting machines. But then they're trying to claim that Obama said they hacked in the voting machines, even though his last press conference, he said they never hacked in the voting machines.
Correct.
So I'm very confused.
Exactly right. Exactly right. See, you speak MAGA. What are you talking about, Chris?
No, I don't.
That's it right there.
That's the problem.
No, I know. Well, you're right. I mean, that's the whole game right there, right? We've got what we've learned, and I talked about this with our friend Amira last week, and we talk about confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance. The evidence and the facts do not matter. What matters to them is their feelings. They don't care. They feel that Donald Trump is not guilty. They feel that Barack Obama is a criminal. They feel that the deep state exists. They feel that the Biden administration was corrupt and in bed with China and Ukraine, et cetera. That's all that matters to them. It's just their feelings. Evidence is irrelevant, to be honest.
Yeah, don't let facts get in the way of, what they want to feel.
Exactly.
The facts, And
exactly.
Listen, I also want to say I've never had the privilege of being invited to the lair, but I heard like Bernie was there 25 times. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, listen, what happens in the lair stays in the lair. I'm just saying.
Except for herpes. That stuff stays with you forever.
Well, again, don't forget, our lair is a matriarchy, Chris, so be prepared to be shunned at a moment's notice. Well, that's how it works.
Hey, I've dealt with that pretty much my whole life, so what the hell? It's another day. Are the Sox
Thanks
doing
for
a
being
trade
here.
tomorrow or not?
We'll find out, pal. We'll talk about that. Can't do it now. I'd love to, but can't do it now. I appreciate you, buddy.
All right, buddy.
Talk
Bye.
to you later. See
Yeah.
you, man. Bye. Podden power. The podden of the power of the podden. Let's get in the car. Drive to the bar. Exactly, Jess. Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Yo, dude, guy.
Hello there.
Hello there. Exactly.
Hello there.
Podden.
Hey, by the way,
We say that. We say that, Chris, because we love you, buddy.
Yeah, dude, guy. Yeah. Hey, listen. Actually, a federal pardon does allow a person who is testifying to plead the fifth if it relates to state crimes. Remember, a federal pardon only covers federal crimes. So there are exceptions that are allowed if someone is going to get on the stand, right? Because it does not, because listen, if it's coming from the president, it's federal, it cannot cover. Oh, there's our wife. Hello, my love. Good morning. Love you very much.
Thank you, our wife, for your $4 donation. I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much.
So just keep in mind that is a carve out that is allowed.
Okay.
Because you're not allowed to not defend yourself against other crimes, right? Because pardons are not blankets. Pardons are specific computations, unless you are the president of the United States and it's preemptive. Now, what you can do is you can offer a conditional pardon, which means if you meet the following criteria, right? Like if you give in a sworn deposition all of this material that we need, we then will offer you a pardon, but that's conditional. So we have to be careful about this stuff, because we want to try to be as accurate as possible with this. The fact of the matter is that she shouldn't be offered anything. Now, I want to take a slight pivot here with Harvard.
Okay.
Because you and I sometimes
again, just my theory. Just my theory.
No. That's
where I went with it.
But you and I were twinning again.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Because yesterday when you played that clip about Larry Summers, I went, aha. The endless tax on Harvard. Now, here's what I believe. Harvard has sat back and watched other countries and world leaders say they're going to do something. Trump then leaves them alone. I think what Harvard, again, just my opinion, I think what Harvard is doing is they're setting the bait and then saying, oh, okay, we're willing to do this, but here are our conditions, right? We want you to retract all of the lies that you said about Harvard. We want you to stop politicizing the DOJ and attacking us because we have done nothing wrong. Oh, and also, if you're going to accuse Larry, we want the president in sworn testimony. How did he know this information? When did he know this information? Who gave him this information? And if this information does exist, how can it also not exist on Pam Bondi's desk? I think that Harvard is going to rope-a-dope the administration and tie them up in knots and force them to drop everything. That's what I think Harvard is doing. Because remember, Harvard also has a shit ton of lawyers that are way more brilliant than anybody that surrounds Trump, right?
That's true. In fact, a lot of members of Congress who are defending Trump now are Harvard Law grads.
Yes. Don't make me go into the elite university conversation.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
So on the topic of windmills, I was incorrect. Apparently, there are some historic windmills here in the United States that actually, and kind of in a cool way, still do mill grain. I would personally like to go see that. But what a painful process that's got to be. Like,
my dude, when you come visit me, I will take you to one. There's one that's not more than 15 miles from me. It's a working windmill that mills grain. Matter of fact.
Yeah, it probably works as fast as sap coming out of a tree to make syrup.
It's the best. Don't be criticizing it. It's the best. It's the best, Jerry. The best.
The best. Anyway, listen. I want to point something out. Right now, you had at a peak pretty close to 1.7K people.
Million 100,000.
million 100,000 per capita in here.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Now, there were a couple of well-known right-wing trolls whose backup accounts I've now caught and recorded and screen grabbed and screenshotted and checked their metadata out. So two of them I blocked on your behalf because these two particular individuals, let's just say that Jeff, aka HVAC, and Hoodie are supported by these individuals. And anybody that platforms them is a fucking grifter because they are grifters. So if you're going to come up here on this live, I need everyone to know, Steve knows this very well. So for over 3 years, I have compiled a list of people who are known
Talk about a list that you don't want to be on. You don't want to be on Obi's list.
A list of known grifters, a list of known fraudsters, people that I have indeed reported to law enforcement for grifting and committing fraud on this app. So if you want to come up against me, a guy who actually worked in a financial crimes unit, like, go right ahead, because here's the deal. I'm going to win and you're going to lose because unlike everybody else, I take copious notes. I have all the proof. I have all the evidence. So if you want to be here and support Steve, that's fine. But if I catch you slipping and supporting grifters on this app, right? Grifters that have come after Steve and I personally threatening us, you're toast. You're absolutely toast. And I don't care if you subscribe to this channel. If you support criminals on this app and people like older millennial that steal money from people, then you're toast. I'm done. I'm not the nice mod. There are other mods who are nicer than me. I'm not that guy. I am the asshole in the room. You want to know where the asshole in the room is? Hi, come see me. I'm 6 foot, 225 pounds. I'm not hard to miss. Right? Although my hair is very short right now because I cut it all off. But anyway.
Sure is.
You are maintaining numbers that you have not maintained in quite some time. And I believe two things can be true at the same time. One, we can root out trolls and take away their First Amendment rights and not have your numbers suffer. And two, and I mean this 10 fucking toes down, you are in the zone right now. You don't need a co-host. You don't need anyone sharing the space with you. I think you have hit your stride within the last 6 months, and I would highly recommend that this is your show. Just like we talked about after our little fun in the sun when we were co-hosting together, right? You don't need that. You need to be you, to be your authentic self, to pause when you need to pause, to point things out, because the mods that stand behind you, that deliver the goods for you, the things that fucking Legend does, right, is quite powerful. And your mod team, bar fucking none, is the best out there, right?
Agreed.
Keep
no doubt
doing what you're doing. You have built a following because you're one of the few people that doesn't grift, that tells the truth, that does the work, that talks about things that can be painful or triggering because things need to be exposed. We stand for human rights. We believe in all women. We protect victims, and it's all men until it's no fucking men. That's it. I love you. Now I'm going to do some fucking capitalism because, God damn it, I fucking do love it. You're right. And don't fucking ever call me out like that again. Damn you.
Too bad it's true. I love you, pal.
You made me admit it. I love you. Drop me like a fucking hot potato.
See you. All right. Bye. I appreciate that, Obi. Appreciate that. Listen, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna take this moment right now because this has been something I've been wanting to do for a little while. So just please allow me this moment. I look at the members of our mod team as my family. I care about them immensely. They know that. They know that I would take a bullet for every single one of them. And I speak of them collectively. And I want to start doing it more individually lately. So I'm going to shout out Tiff. When you have a person in your mod community who goes by the name Newshound on TikTok, you know you are in good hands. The amount of information, sometimes I feel like Tiff and I kind of share a brain because I go down a path and then I check in the Discord and she's already gone there. The amount of information that she provides for me, how it's broken down, how she offers her own editorial opinions on it, and then backs it up with the evidence is incredible. And it's a volunteer opportunity. I'd love to be able to pay. I would love to be able to pay our mods. If you want to support the channel, best way to do that is to participate in our daily, because that would potentially put me in a position where I can support them more. But hats off to Tiffany. Newshound is my fucking hero, and the amount of work that they all put in. But everybody has their own little responsibilities, and I just wanted to say that, Tiff. So I love you from the bottom of my heart. The work that you do is amazing, and we would not exist without you. So thank you for that. Appreciate you. All right. We went through this exercise this morning, right? We have this tipping point. I don't know how else to call. I don't know what else to call it, right? I don't know what else to call it. And Obi could be right. I mean, this could be an example where Harvard kind of steps in and says, well, okay, fine. You want to play this game? Because the headline of the story was Harvard is open to paying $500 million to settle with Trump, reported by the New York Times. It's kind of a wild thing, right? It's kind of a wild thing that we've got Harvard University, who's part of this process, who has been, indicted in the court of public opinion, which is why I think this whole thing is about the court of public opinion, quite frankly. Why wouldn't they just want to say, okay, fine, you want to make accusations about Larry Summers? Okay, how do you know that information? Where are you getting that information from? We want to depose you. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I guess we'll see. I guess we will see, right? So, let's see where that's going to go. Okay, shifting gears a little bit. We're going to get back into this a little bit more today. I want to kind of call people's attention to the state of Texas a little bit. Texas is, front and center for this whole illegal redistricting thing. So in case you don't know the story, redistricting is a legal process that happens every 10 years after a census. So the census comes out, populations shift, they come and go, people move in and out of congressional districts. So the way the process is supposed to work is you look at the population and then you redistrict based on where the population is. Gerrymandering has been a tactic that, let's be clear, that both parties use, but the Republicans use it like it is candy. So every single time an example would be the state of North Carolina. Okay. North Carolina, I believe, has 13 congressional districts. Okay. I think it's 13. Don't quote me on this. I'm trying to go from memory here. So we'll say it's 13. So in a state that is a 51-49 split based on presidential elections, you would think that districts would match. No, when Republicans had the majority in the state house, they divided up the districts so that it was 11-2 or 10-3. Okay, that would be an example of gerrymandering. North Carolina ended up changing the complexion of their Supreme Court, and they changed the rules back to the way it was supposed to be. It was a 7-6 split. Republicans again won control of the Supreme Court, and they went right back to the map of 10-3. That's an example of gerrymandering. It should be based on the population. Okay. Oh my God, this guy's back again. Can we please get this cheese out of here? It's just so fucking ridiculous. It's hard to do a show when you got to deal with that kind of shit. But anyway, Texas has already come out and admitted that they're going to do this. Donald Trump said, yeah, we can find 5 or 6 seats. The Texas voters are pissed off. Okay, they are pissed. I can't cite this person's name because I couldn't find it listed. But this is just a wild testimony. I've got a few that I want to play. This is the kind of stuff that we want. And quite frankly, because we're going to get into the whole issue with quorum in Texas, which is one of the few tools that Democrats in Texas actually have. It's complicated, but I'll explain it to you in just a minute. So bear with me. First, the sound from this person who's testifying in front of the redistricting committee in Texas.
Chair calls Mindy Tackett.
Mindy,
are you registered to testify on behalf of yourself
I
on the
am.
revised congressional redistricting plan? Is that correct?
Correct.
Please give us your testimony.
So I am here to tell all of you exactly what I told the Texas Senate, word for word. Texans do not want this. Trump wants this. Mid-decade redistricting is a blatant racist power grab. It undermines fair representation and rigs the rules to erase the voices of Black and brown communities in order to keep politicians who support white Christian nationalism in power. This is no different than what we have been fighting here in Tarrant County. Just like the Tarrant County commissioners were afraid they might lose power here, Trump and national level Republicans are afraid they might lose some power. So they're turning to states like Texas to try and ensure they have enough Republican seats. And you're going to squash Black and brown voices to do it. There's no polite way to say this. Republicans, we see you. We see who you are, and we see what you're doing. You're shameless, power-hungry bootlickers for Trump.
Yeah, so there's that. That was savage. Freaking loved it. I'm going to bring up a guest, and I've got some more sound from Texas voters to play because I think it's great. Chels, P, how are you?
I'm one of your biggest fans. I love it.
How are you?
I don't think I've asked you this before. I didn't want to stay too long. I just was curious because me and you are on the same side. You know, we're right on par with each other. But for 2026 and 2028, who do you think are solid candidates in your opinion? Who should we be investing in? Yes, let's start there. Yeah, for presidency.
So it's a fair question. So I want to win the next election. And I feel like if we're looking at the landscape, I feel like the two most prominent frontrunners, in my opinion, would be Gavin Newsom and Pete Buttigieg. And I say that because of the way in which they push back on some of the bullshit. I think one of the reasons that Democrats score so poorly in favorability polls is because what Democratic voters, and I'm not a Democrat, I'm a progressive, but what Democratic voters are just waiting for is someone to stand up and say, and push back and challenge some of the bullshit. And Pete Buttigieg and Gavin Newsom have done that. I think a name to also to consider is Andy Bashir. There's possibility of Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, from throwing his hat into the ring. I'd love to elect a woman. I just don't think we're there yet. Yeah. I just don't think enough Democrats will get over their misogyny and vote for one, sadly.
Yeah. Do you think Ben Shapiro should be in the hat?
Josh Shapiro?
Josh Shapiro, not Ben. I'm sorry. Wrong one. My bad.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, it's a swing state. Maybe. If there's a possibility. I mean, his name has been mentioned in the past. There's that. I mean, when I hear Andy Bashir's name. Yeah. I mean,
Bashir's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. We're talking about white men, and I understand that, and I get it. I want to win elections. I want a progressive agenda, and we can't do that unless we get, Democrats are like public transportation. Thank you, Victoria. They get me closer to where I want to go. So to answer your question, if I was put on the spot, I would say the ticket would be Gavin Newsom and Pete Buttigieg.
Okay. I like that. I was just curious. I just wanted to pick your brain. That's it. I completely agree with that. I worry about Pete though, for the same reasons.
Agreed.
For not the same, but similar reasons. But I'm a huge fan of Mayor Pete. I always have. And I think his work in the Department of Transportation was incredible. The infrastructure that he laid out was incredible. I think Andy Bashir is good. Mark Kelly, Josh Shapiro. Yeah. That's all I really want to ask. Keep fighting the good fight, man.
Thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate you. Have a good day. See you later. What about Gavin and Jasmine? Yeah, I hear that. I don't know. I think Jasmine Crockett's got an amazing future. We know what happened with Kamala Harris. I worry about things like that. I try to look at the tea leaves. We live in a racist country, and conservatives. Don't forget, I lump people into the bucket of you're either progressive or you're a conservative. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican is irrelevant to me. If you're a conservative Democrat, you're holding back progress. I want people who want to push the needle forward. And sadly, there are conservative Democrats who couldn't bring themselves to vote for a woman in the last election. I just don't see them ready to do that yet. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am, but I just worry. Like AOC's name gets thrown around a lot out there. I love her politics. Can she get elected? I don't know. The likelihood that JD Vance would be the top of the ticket, potentially, he's incredibly unpopular, but I think people would just decide that, I can't vote for a woman. I don't know. We've got some time to figure that out. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I want to change, but we'll see. Oh, here, I'm about to get smarter. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Facts. How you doing?
I am good. I am good. How are you? It's been too long.
Yeah. Listen, and I just got discharged from the hospital Sunday, but listen, we gonna go past that. I know.
Are you okay?
I know.
You good? You good?
I'm stable. Okay. We're gonna say that.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
Listen, and your bingo card for this subject, you couldn't have got better. Okay, because a LGBTQ Black woman, native Texan. Yeah. Listen. As you continue this conversation, right? I want y'all to consider, okay, Texas is not by a long shot progressive in this space at all. Think about Juneteenth. The whole reason Juneteenth exists is because these people refused to acknowledge the law.
Correct.
The law, people, the thing that is the thing that supposedly is the watershed that makes everything right. That makes everything great, because once you put a law in place, then magically, voila, everybody understands, everybody treats everybody correctly because it's the law. Yeah. So here we are with this thing, the law. Okay, that they are just simply saying, I'm going to take my Presto Changeo eraser and just simply change it. Now, the history of this that they have been systematically doing and how they have been pumping this into Texas has been diabolical at best. And my entire life has been a study of this. So these red areas, these rural quote unquote areas, that's where the prisons and the colleges are. And they have been using those populations to twist and turn and make this whole gerrymandering premise available and usable today. Diabolical. Actually, so I don't know if you've ever heard of Prairie View A&M College.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Did you hear about how they specifically use that population? All those college kids.
As far as the redistricting model, I mean, is that what you're referring to?
Okay, so it was a whole big thing. So obviously, college kids. I mean, you're there. It's a college town. You're renting apartments. All of the things. You live there. Okay, and they literally become residents. You got rules that if you are there, it's a little over 6 months. They had a clause. It was like 9 out of 12 that made you a resident. Okay, and so the college kids were like, we don't like a lot of the zoning things that are going on. So they did a whole drive where they went and they did it by the rules. Okay, because listen, one thing that our people are going to do, we learned to read, right? We read the rules and they went and they registered to vote. And then the people went and changed all of the rules of voting. They changed the election times to when the kids weren't there, to make sure that they couldn't vote, to try to freeze them out. Then they went and changed the requirements that you have to be there all 12 months. They went and made sure that they froze them out of the process. That's what this state does. It's not about fairness. It's not about inclusion in the process. It's not about, oh, we're all citizens. It's not about, oh, we're all here. It's not about if you pay your way and all of the rest of that shit. Stop it. Stop all. I wish y'all would stop with don't play the race card. The race card is all y'all got. That's all I came to say. Thanks.
I love you, my friend. I hope you feel better. If you need anything, reach out, okay?
Appreciate you. Bye.
All right, talk to you later. Bye. It's a really, really good point, right? It's a really, really good point. And I think what I'm seeing from this is Gerrymandering is illegal. I don't support it. I don't like the retribution. If you're going to do it, we're going to do it too. But I don't know if we have another option. I don't want to do it. In fact, I would like to see legislation passed where it's illegal, that redistricting is done every 10 years and it's always done by an independent third party. It's not something that we should be cheering for. It's seriously not. Here's another. This gentleman is Bobby for Texas. He's another gentleman from Texas speaking his mind on this whole issue, and I think it's great, and I want to hear more from this because the population in Texas is not as bright red as people claim. This is Bobby.
I'm Bobby Cole. I'm a lifelong Texan. I'm an East Texas farmer and a retired fireman. The Texas Republican Party is corrupt to the core. Its spineless devotion to Donald Trump is on full display, with Greg Abbott being the prize pony. All that this blind loyalty to MAGA has brought to the people of Texas has trampled freedoms, liberties, and rights. Common decency and dignity that Texas used to stand for is gone. Replaced with cruelty and division and a way of governance not for the people, but at the behest of only the ultra-rich and the powerful. We are here today to testify against the naked power grab ordered by Trump himself. This redistricting scheme will disenfranchise hardworking Black and Latino communities that deserve to be heard. It doesn't matter what maps you draw or how corrupt your reasoning is to justify it. So do your worst, because that's what you're best at. A reckoning is coming, and the people of Texas will render it on November 3rd, 2026. Thank you.
So this redistricting commission, loaded by white men, are hearing from voters in Texas, and which is exactly what you want, right? So you can't look your voters in the eye and say that, keep in mind, one of the strategies that people on the redistricting committee and in the state assembly in Texas are trying to say now is that the Democrats drew the maps illegally. Actually, no. It was the Republicans that redrew the map, and you're seeing members of this Texas State House respond, say, no, the maps were drawn by you guys. Are you saying that they're illegal? So thank you for admitting to us. I have, Fish. Yeah, I've heard about Isaiah Martin. Talked about it a little bit on Monday. Fantastic. Exactly what you want. Put people on fucking blast, right? So it was the Republicans that drew the map, and now they're drawing the map again. And they're absolutely right. There is no reason to do this other than following the directions of the president. I need you to find me more votes. I need you to find me more seats. And yes, Jasmine Crockett's district is one of those districts that are potentially in jeopardy. It's a slippery slope, because if you start diluting these districts enough and you get more people that are so fucking angry in Texas about this, then all of a sudden what was considered a safe Republican seat now becomes up for grabs. So again, back to the statement that I made earlier. It looks like California is going to attempt to do the same. It's a little bit different in some of the because you need the trifecta. You need control of the state assembly or the state legislature in both chambers, and you need the governor's mansion to be able to make it happen. Certain states, I think California has an independent redistricting commission, but I was reading statements from Gavin Newsom. It looks like they have influence over that. So is this where we're at now? Because it basically takes our voices away, right? I stand for democracy. I think gerrymandering is ridiculous. I think it's a horrible thing. And if that's a tactic that the Republicans are going to take, then I don't see how the Democrats can respond in kind. The reason, let's be clear. Let's back up a second, right? The reason that they are doing this is because they know they're going to lose the House. There's no other reason. You wouldn't be doing it just to say, they know they're going to lose. Okay? They know they're going to lose the House. They know it. They know it. There's no other reason to do it other than say we're going to do it. So is the response from the Democrats to say, fine, if that's the case, then we're going to level the playing field, because we're going to win the House. So if you're going to gerrymander districts, we're going to gerrymander districts as well. Kathy Hochul's come out and talked about it in New York. Long Island of New York in the Staten Island area is Trump country. Northwestern, northeastern New York, not far from me, at least Stefanik's district, for example. That could all be chopped up potentially. So if you want to play this game, then I support it. I don't like doing it because it disenfranchises voters. And as we know, in our fucking system, people who get disenfranchised the most are always going to be marginalized communities. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a response. So the question then becomes, what tools do Democrats have? And there's not a lot, but there are some. So I found this person do this savage little breakdown, and then I'll talk about what he's referring to in terms of what a quorum is. Let me find the sound first. Let's see. Do I have that? Oh, let me play this. This is funny. So this gentleman's name is Al Madrigal. He's a comedian, but he does some political content. This is great. This is a laugh as we pivot to our next topic, but you guys will appreciate this. So he's interviewing one of the many sheriff's officers who fully believe in Trump's immigration policy, locking people up, the illegals, brown-skinned people, they're such a threat. This is just interesting sound, and this is the way you address these kinds of things. So here you go. You guys will laugh at this.
That come into this country, theirs is to come in and take and not pay the taxes. And that's not the American dream.
Who exactly are we talking about?
They're not wealthy people sneaking across the border.
Not wealthy at all.
No, you can't just come across on your own. They call them, they're mules. And if you have nothing to pay, they'll abuse you along the way.
That sounds exhausting.
Very exhausting.
And so they have them all huddled together in these groups?
Yes.
Why? What are they yearning for?
To feel free.
So you're saying that there are tired, poor, huddled masses yearning for freedom. That's not what America's about.
It's not what I'm saying at all. Just get behind the line. That's how we keep it this.
That's the fucking best. You guys know, because they're the smartest chat on TikTok, you know what he's referring to. Bring me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. That's on the Statue of Liberty. And that gentleman walked right into it. So that was brilliant. So I figured you guys appreciate that. Okay, so let me find this sound from this person again, calling out the Republican State House, based on exactly what we just went through, the exercise about how they're going to try to redistrict away to a majority in the House, and they're not going to be able to do it because there's enough people that are willing to push back against it. Let me find that sound first because I think it's necessary for me to play it. Everybody keep tapping and sharing, guys. If we can get to 500K likes, that'd be fantastic. Don't forget, we are crowdfunded if you want to support the channel. Much appreciated. Don't forget about subscribing. Please don't forget about gifting because that's really how we move the needle. Is this the one I wanted to play? No, I'll play that in a minute. That's bad. Wait to hear from Stephen Miller. Holy shit. That's fucking scary. This right here. This is great. And I'll explain to you what he's talking about here. Again, another Texas voter pissed off at the redistricting commission.
To the Democrats in this committee, y'all have said for a long time that every option is on the table. I want to make it clear to you that should include breaking the quorum. When the time comes, y'all need to be prepared to break the quorum so that way you defend our voices in Congress. We understand that the Republicans here are going to do everything in their capacity to gerrymander the state more and more, and y'all are in the minority. The one thing that y'all have left is to break that quorum. Please, for the state, break the quorum and actually force the Republicans to create a map that represents us.
So what he's referring to is rules in the Texas State House require a certain number of people to be present. And without that number of people being present, then the entire legislature stops. So breaking the quorum would require Democrats to literally leave the state. They can't be there. Texas Democrats are fundraising. Plus, not only that, but there are fines. Republican legislatures passed a law to fine Democrats if they do this because they got burned by it in 2021. So they passed legislation to say, we're going to fine you. I think it's $500 a day. This is not a high-paying gig. to serve in your state government. I did it. It barely covered my Red Bull addiction when I served. So anyway, Texas Democrats are fundraising to potentially lead the state to block GOP-backed redistricting. The money could be used to cover the $500 a fine lawmakers would incur under House rules set to discourage members from absconding after Democrats did the same thing in February 2021. As Republicans in Texas move full steam ahead with a plan to redraw the state's congressional districts, Democrats are privately mulling their options, including an expensive and legally dicey quorum break. If they go that route, it appears they will have the backing of big dollar Democratic donors. Fabulous. By the way, somebody just asked, all my various apps are at Factsstillmatter, the blue one, the green one, etc. There you go. If they go that route, it appears they'll have the dollar from big backing donors. By fleeing the state to deprive the legislature of enough members to function, Democrats would each incur a fine of up to $500 per day and face the threat of arrest. Now think about that for a second if you live in Texas, okay? Think about that for a second. Elected in a representative democracy, which we are, when you elect people to represent you, they go there as your voice. This is a basic civics lessons, okay? They go there as your voice, whether they go to their city council, to their state house, to their assembly, or to Congress. They are there to serve you. What Republicans are now saying is, we don't give a fuck that Democratic representatives are standing up to defend not only their district, but other districts. And because Republicans, all we care about is cheating and lying to our voters, we're going to fine you. That is just diabolical. Great word. That is just crazy. By fleeing the state to deprive the legislature of enough members to function, Democrats would each incur a fine of $500 per day and face the threat of arrest. Deep-pocketed donors within the party appear ready to cover these expenses, according to 3 people involved in the discussions. The donors' willingness to foot the bill eliminates a major deterrent to walking out, the personal financial cost, and could potentially embolden Democrats who might otherwise hesitate. But first, the donors and absconding members would need to figure out how to skirt a potential roadblock. Texas House rules prohibit lawmakers from dipping into their campaign coffers to pay the fines. Republicans only approved the $500 daily punishment in 2023, 2 years after Democrats fled the state in an unsuccessful bid to stop Republicans from passing an overhaul of the state's election laws. 2 people involved in the latest Democratic fundraising strategy sessions, who were granted anonymity to discuss private conversations, claim their legal teams have found a way to disperse the funds to the members, but declined to provide any additional details. Jasmine Crockett, Dallas Democrat, who was part of the 2021 quorum break, sees a path to circumvent the campaign finance rules. Quote, with minimal limits on external income, Texas lawmakers can simply accept the donations as another salary, she said. As one of the most prolific fundraisers in the U.S. House, Crockett said she's willing to tap her donor base and her $3.7 million war chest to cover the expenses. On private, again, Jasmine Crockett putting country and her voters ahead of party, saying, I'm going to do this because this is important. That's what fucking leadership does. That's what leaders do. That's what leadership looks like. I am going to lean in. I am going to stand up for you. Because she was part of this in 2021. That's when she became a prominent national figure. That's what leaders do. It's fucking great. On private donor calls, members of Congress, including Rep. Greg Casar of Austin, have been making the case for high-stakes Democratic resistance, including a quorum break, according to 2 people familiar with the calls. Thank you guys for helping us hit the live goal. Let me reset that. What should we do? What have we done in a while? Let's do the monkey, okay? Don't touch my monkey. But actually, please do. Enthusiastic consent. I'll leave that right there. Sorry. Okay. Their pitch frames the rare mid-decade redistricting saga as a key front in their battle against the White House. To some, the fight is not simply about the congressional maps. It could provide Democrats with actionable opposition their base is hungry for. Right? That's what we've been talking about. That's what the Democrats need. They need something like this. This is a level of resistance. It's not that Democratic policies aren't popular, because they are. It's the Democratic Party that America is disappointed in. And frankly, rightly so. And a lot of Democrats themselves are starting to realize that. This is what's necessary. Redraw California saying, fuck it. You know what? California should do it anyway. Even if Texas doesn't, California should do it anyway. Fuck it. And then pass a law to say gerrymandering is against the law. Donors appeared convinced and ready to open their checkbooks should Texas members decide to flee the state. According to 3 people who were on the calls or briefed on them, one person estimated lawmakers would need $1 million per month to finance the protest, a sum that those involved in the calls are certain they can secure. Paying these fines may not even be necessary, Crockett believes. I think that the first step would be to make sure that there are attorneys on deck to actually challenge the legality of these rules, she said in an interview with the Texas Tribune. Andrew Cates, an Austin-based campaign financier and ethics lawyer, said he would be very surprised if there were any real monetary penalties that were enforceable. Spokespeople for Speaker Dustin Burrows, Republican from Lubbock, and Rep. Charlie Guerin, the Fort Worth Republican who chairs the Administration Committee, did not respond to questions for comment. The quorum break would buy precious time for Crockett and other Democrats to see as essential to educating the public about the harms they believe new maps would inflict, along with allowing a court challenge around the current maps to continue making its way through the system. As a part of the lawsuit against the 2021 maps, Republican map drawers testified that they did not consider race when crafting the new district lines. But to justify this mid-decade redistricting, GOP operatives are using a letter from U.S. Department of Justice which says 4 current districts are racially gerrymandered. All of a sudden, all these years later, they're like, never mind, Crockett said. They really were considering race. They weren't race neutral. If lawmakers decide to bring the chamber to a standstill, a public messaging war would almost certainly ensue, drawing more attention and money to both sides' causes. Republicans would likely say Democrats are abdicating their duty as elected officials and hindering flood relief bills. Plan for that. Republicans will come out and say, we were ready to pass legislation to help those poor communities that were harmed by our bullshit policies over the past 30 years. We were ready to do that, but Democrats absconded their responsibility. Let them fucking say it. Don't care. Let them say it. And then just remind people that the legislature in Texas has been dominated by Republicans for the past 20 years. So why didn't you do anything before that? Let them say it. That's a strategy too. You can say, fine, it's coincidental now that you want to do that. Why haven't you done anything about it for the past 25 or 30 years? See, I love doing this show. I love it. It's something that's a part of my life now. I love it. But people should be fucking paying me to run their campaigns. Because if I had somebody that had a strong voice and I was in their ear, I would be destroying this shit. I'd be fucking calling out legacy media all the fucking time. I would be going after people. I'm probably not going to run. People have asked me, like, are you going to run for office? I'm very fortunate that I'm represented by 3 amazing individuals in Washington. And by the way, I got a letter back from one of my senators, Peter Welch, that I'll read to you because it's great. Because it's not a form letter. He says, Steve, nice to hear from you again. So anyway, this is the kind of messaging that we want. Republicans would say that Democrats are abdicating their duty as elected officials and hindering flood relief bills. Lawmakers are expected to consider in response to the deadly July 4th flooding in Central Texas. Attorney General Ken Paxton has also called for fleeing Democrats to be arrested and offered his office's services in, quote, hunting down and compelling the attendance of anyone who abandons their office by breaking quorum. Many Democrats see any attempt to stop these new maps, no matter how unorthodox, as effectively representing their constituents who do not want to see the maps redrawn. Democrats in the state, by fleeing based on these rules, are truly representing the best interests of Texas. Truly. Apart from the quorum breaks, money is pouring in from national Democratic groups who are looking to capitalize on the issue. The Democratic National Committee, which I can't stand, but is leveraging 30,000 volunteers to contact persuadable Republican and independent Texas voters to encourage them to submit public comments or call their state legislators with opposition to the new maps. They have sent 250,000 text messages aimed at mobilizing voters to attend field hearings around the state, according to a DNC news release. The National Democratic Redistricting Committee, while not involved in the quorum break talks, is planning to host an August fundraiser on Martha's Vineyard with President Obama. You see, that's the problem. That right there is the problem. What do you think about when you think about Martha's Vineyard? Ask yourself, what's one word that pops into your mind, friends? Let's do a little survey. What's one word that pops into your head when you hear Martha's Vineyard? What do you hear? Rich, money, the elite, the entitled. That's the fucking problem. Barack Obama can headline it, but go to fucking Lubbock, Texas, or go to a middle class community in Texas. Go to middle America. Stand amongst silos. Make it a fucking marketing moment. But you're gonna go to Martha's fucking Vineyard, and the Democrats wonder why they lose elections? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? And these are the people that are going to be there. Barack, which I think he's great about. But Nancy Pelosi? Nope. Move the fuck on, Nancy. Eric Holder? Nope. According to a person involved in the organization of the event, money raised from the event will be used to support Texas Democrats who are opposing the redistricting efforts and the NDRC's general operations. You don't have to stage the fucking event in Martha's Vineyard. Jesus, what the fuck is wrong with that mess? Do you not get it? Do you not get it? Throughout my professional career, I'm accustomed to being alone on the island. I literally am. I've sat around boardroom tables, and I've been in C-suite meetings, and I've been at, executive vice president and higher meetings, and everybody is just sitting around the table nodding their heads, and I'm like, no. What do you mean no? Like, no. That's a dumb idea. Why would we do something like that? I'm used to it. So here's another example. Yes, I want to win elections, and I know money requires elections, but you're going to do something to stand up for democracy, and you're going to try to stand up and representing the voice of the people, and you're going to go to Martha's Vineyard, where the 2% live? Come on. Come on. Do you guys get what I'm trying to say here? Sure, we need the money to do this, but you're going to do it there? And Barack, I love you, my guy, but maybe offer an alternative. Maybe you say, we're going to take the fight to Texas. We're going to do this rally out in front of the State House. But no. Can't do that. Spokespeople for the DNC, the NDRC, and the DCC each said that their organizations have yet to officially get involved in the quorum break fundraising efforts. Okay. So let's now talk about James Talerico. He is someone that I hope more people pay attention to because he is a Christian. I believe he's a pastor. He speaks in folksy pace, and he is calling out the bullshit that we are seeing every single day in the state of Texas. So this is one. Do I have the right sound effect here? Well, let me play this first. There was a bill that was passed recently in Texas regarding education funding. Okay, I know he was on Rogan. He was great. He was on he was part of a committee. The sound you'll hear is from a discussion about education funding in Texas. All right. And I just want you to listen to how this is how you debate. Okay. This is what you do. We could all learn from this. All right. So during the Texas House debate for SB2, the school voucher scam, Rep. Talerico points out how taxpayer dollars will be used at private schools with no accountability. This is great.
Absolutely. So under this bill, could our taxpayer dollars be used to host Drag Queen Story Hour?
Drag Queen Story Hour?
If a private school decides to have Drag Queen Story Hour, our taxpayer dollars will now fund that Drag Queen Story Hour.
please hang in there because he's getting to the point. I think you guys know where he's going, okay?
This bill does not infringe on what our private schools can do.
So that's a yes.
Drag queen story hours are in many of our public schools.
So that's a yes. Our taxpayer dollars now will be going to drag queen story hour if private schools choose to do that.
I don't think there's an assertion that would happen.
What about private schools that choose to teach critical race theory, which has been banned in Texas public schools? Will our taxpayer dollars under your bill now go to fund critical race theory instruction in private schools?
Private schools have the autonomy to select the curriculum they want to teach. And parents ultimately have the autonomy to attend or not.
Exactly, but now my taxpayer dollars are going to be going to fund that critical race theory instruction in a private school if they choose to teach that. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, your taxpayer dollars right now, Mr. Tallarico, are paying for all sorts of activities in public schools across Texas.
That's incorrect. I was here on the House floor when we banned critical race theory in our public schools. Yeah. The point is, in a public school, the curriculum is informed by the taxpayers and by their elected representatives. That is not true in a private school. There is no democratic process to determine what's taught. There are no rules. There are no mechanisms to enforce taxpayer accountability.
But these...
That's how you do it, friends. That's how you play their fucking game. So James Tallarico was in the Texas State House in the Assembly, right? When Republicans passed a bill trying to cut funding from public schools, claiming that public schools are promoting Drag Queen Story Hour and CRT, right? So in his beautiful takedown of one of the co-sponsors of this bill, saying, so then are my taxpayer dollars now going to go to private schools? And can those private schools host Drag Queen Story Hours? You heard his response. Yeah, they can. They can do whatever they want. Oh, okay. So then what about CRT? Well, that's not happening. Well, actually, no. We voted on that. You guys introduced an agenda item that we would ban CRT from public schools, and now private schools can do it. That's how you fucking fight that shit right there. That's how you fight it. That's exactly how you fight it. You throw their bullshit hypocrisy right back in their face. Those fascistic fucking Christian national pieces of shit. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Private schools that can set any agenda, private schools that are going to be funded by taxpayer dollars, absolutely can do whatever the hell they want. Get that video in Discord? Yes, Paddle Kid, you got it. I got to do better about putting some stuff in Discord, guys. I try. Sorry, I don't do it all the time, but TJ, are you trying to get back in the throuple? TJ said, Steve loves his country. Agree or disagree with him. He loves USA. Just a correction. No, I don't. I don't. I appreciate what our country could be if we overfunded public education, guaranteed universal health care, because I believe health care is a human right, as is food, shelter, and water. If we finally prioritize those things, then maybe I could be convinced that there's things that we could do better. But no, I don't love our country. I don't love a country. I don't love a country that decides that we should be cutting funding for poor people, that we should be putting people in concentration camps, that we should continue to go after marginalized communities. I don't love that. So, but I appreciate your attempt to try to get back into the throuple, TJ. The jury's still out. Okay. For those of you who don't know the throuple story, it's our inside joke, but it's just funny. Okay, so I've got a little bit more sound from James Tallarico because I want to highlight this man because he's just out there doing the fucking work. He is literally just out there doing the work every single day. And I want more people like him. I don't know if he's got plans to expand his career, from a national perspective. I hope he does. But he's just he's the kind of person that we should be looking at and looking up to. So this is him literally outside the State House, right? And he's talking about redistricting here. So here you go. Again, James Tallarico. Sorry. Why can't I change the volume?
Is the billionaires. The only minority destroying America is the billionaires.
Boom.
Here in Texas, A group of billionaires are trying to privatize our public schools and sell them off brick by brick. Their private school voucher scam will use the tax dollars of plumbers and nurses to fund coupons for wealthy parents who are already sending their kids to private school. It's theft. It's fraud. It's corruption. These billionaires may have bought our governor, but they don't own this state. Jeff Yass gave Greg Abbott $12 million to pass this voucher scam. But this capital doesn't belong to Jeff Yass. It doesn't belong to Tim Dunn. It doesn't belong to Ferris Wilkes. It doesn't belong to Betsy DeVos. It belongs to you. It belongs to the people of Texas. Big money is powerful, but it's nothing compared to people power. We won't hand over our state to these billionaires without a fight.
Wait for it.
Texans don't surrender easily. So if they want to close our Texas public schools, we've got 4 words for them. Come and take it.
I just got goosebumps from that. That's what we want. That's what moderate Democrats, progressives, leftists, that's what people on the left have been screaming about. You want our public schools? Then you come and take it. You want to gerrymander the district? Then fuck you. We're going to do the same thing. That's resistance, friends. I hope that puts a little fire in your belly today. That's James Tellerico. He is a representative. I believe he's a representative and not a state senator in Texas. That's what we want. That's what we need. Stand up for this shit. Big pocketed Democratic donors guarantee blank fucking check for every single Democrat that wants to walk out to the quorum so that the Republican agenda cannot pass. If they want to say Democrats don't want to fund flood relief in Central Texas and say, well, I don't know, you guys have been in party for the past 20 years. Why didn't you do anything about it? Why didn't you do anything about it? Let them wear that fucking anchor. I am so tired of these feckless, cowardice, limp dick responses that most Democrats would make to an obvious fucking layup. Listen, I'm a pretty smart guy, but you don't need to be brilliant to know how to respond to somebody who says, when asked a question about should you be pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, if I was interviewing Mike Johnson, so Mike, do you think we should be talking about pardoning for Ghislaine Maxwell? And then he went on to his whole atrocious. I said, I'm sorry, you're the Speaker of the House, and you want to stand here in front of the millions of Americans and think about whether or not we should be pardoning a sexual predator? Mike, are you on the list too? And then I'd get pulled off the air, but I'd go down swinging. That's for sure. This is what we want. We want people to fucking stand up and do something. When I tell you guys every single day at the end of the show, the last 2 words I say every day are do something, this is what I mean. Do something. Stand up. Go to a rally. Go to your, even if you don't live in Texas, find somebody that you know that does and say, what are you doing about this? Who can I call? How can I get involved in this? Let's use Texas as the linchpin. We obviously know that they despise women. We know that they don't care. We know that they bitch and moan, yet they're a recipient state. Gavin Newsom called that out at a podcast. They take money from the federal government, and then MAGA Republicans in Texas, fucking, California, goddamn California liberals. We pay for your shit. Our taxpayer dollars in blue states allow you to have money to buy to buy new sets of truck nuts for your fucking F-350. Come and take it. Exactly. Come and take it. You want the public education system so bad? You want to privatize it in Texas? And come and fucking take it. We're not fighting. Think about what we're fighting over here. Think about this. Think about this. Think about this. We're fighting over whether or not we should be pardoning a sexual predator. We're fighting over the fact of the existence of public schools. Remember how I tell you guys every day, don't relent on the truth? This is an example. You know where you stand. You guys know where I stand. True blue, progressive. I believe that human rights and dignity are the things that should matter to all of us. I believe that healthcare, food, shelter, and water are human rights. Can anybody disagree with that? Healthcare, food, water, shelter. I know I am so fucking radical because I believe in healthcare, food, water, and shelter. Yeah, overfund public education. And what are they talking about in Texas? It's crazy. Speaking of education, I've had my eye recently on the state of Oklahoma. I love y'all Sooners. I know a lot of you out there are stuck. Sadly, Oklahoma and Massachusetts hold two distinctions. Every county in Oklahoma voted Trump. Every county in Massachusetts voted Harris. It's very, very interesting when you break down the numbers because there's a lot to be said for about how elections have consequences, right? Since we were just talking about education in Texas, you guys know how I feel about it. I personally believe if you want to talk about loving our country, if our country invested in public education like I want it to, when I say overfund it, I would like a 20-fold increase in education budgets. And I know that burden falls to individual taxpayers because of property taxes. This is where I want federal funding. Okay. And I again, in universal health care, right? I believe so many problems in our country would be solved if we address those things in the proper way, whether it's taxing the rich, whether it's changing the tax code, whatever it might be. I firmly believe that because we have evidence. Yes, it's my opinion, but there's also evidence behind it. Okay. Ryan Walters, who we learned yesterday, Ryan Walters, who wants to put Bibles in schools, Trump Bibles in schools. We learned yesterday that Ryan Walters, during one of an executive session meeting of the superintendents or the principals around the state, had pictures of nude women up on his TV monitor. Never apologized for it, just sort of rushed it off. So there's that. There's that. We'll just leave that over there. This was reported just this week by the Oklahoman, which again is a really good local newspaper, local media source. Ryan Walters says an anti-woke test for teachers moving to Oklahoma will be ready soon. Republican State School Superintendent Ryan Walters says Oklahoma will roll out a new certification test in 2 weeks or so. 2 weeks. Woohoo! 2 weeks. For teachers moving to Oklahoma from left-wing states. Walters gave the timeline for the highly publicized test as he spoke at the Oklahoma State Board of Education meeting on Thursday, July 24th. He did not specify what would be covered in the test or identify exactly who would be required to take it. He has said his agency, the Oklahoma State Department of Education, is developing the test with PragerU. You guys are familiar with PragerU in Florida, right? Of course you are. You're not going to, quote, you're not going to come here and teach, wow. You're not going to come in here and teach that there's 27 genders. There's boys and girls. That's in our science standards, Walters said as he explained the test at the board meeting. You're going to come in and you're going to come in and you're not going to undermine the American exceptionalism by teaching anti-American, anti-Semitic, woke hate. Walters named California and New York as two states that have adopted requirements for teachers that run antithetical to Oklahoma's standards. Oklahoma's standards, you say, Ryan. Oklahoma's standards. There are 50 states in America, ladies and gentlemen. Oklahoma ranks dead last in education. Ryan. Massachusetts, by the way, number 1. Massachusetts, every county in the state voted for Kamala Harris. Oklahoma, every county in the state voted for Donald Trump. New York, California, Vermont, Rhode Island, all states in the top 10 in education outcomes. Oklahoma, Walters named California and New York as two states that have adopted requirements for teachers that run antithetical to Oklahoma's standards. Oklahoma is 50th out of 50. 50th out of 50. If there could be 52 out of 50, that's where Oklahoma would fall. Jersey, top 10. Rhode Island, yes. So, according to the California Department of Education's website, students must be taught, these are his words, must be taught about gender, gender expression, gender identity, and explore the harm of negative gender stereotypes. Anybody have an issue with that? Schools must teach schools must teach all about sexual orientations and what being LGBTQ means. Walters said 7 or 8 other states are also moving towards dramatically crazy, radical requirements on their teachers without citing any Oklahoma laws or rules. Walters said teachers from those states must take the new test to show they align with Oklahoma's curriculum standards. The test is going to be very straightforward, a very matter of fact. It should be very common sense. His insistence that some teachers would be required to take the test and not others raised questions from other members of the State Board of Education. Walters said he does not need the board's approval. Board member Ryan Detheridge asked for legal documentation as to why that was the case. We've already got all that, so we can get it to him, Walters said. The board's attorney, Chad Kutmas, then added that he would have to research it. Board member Chris Van de Hende asked whether the tests were necessary because teaching contracts require educators to teach to Oklahoma standards. Again, as a little reminder, 50 states, Oklahoma ranks dead last in education. Dead last. And the Oklahoma superintendent wants teachers who come from other states, California and New York, the identified, who are top 10 in educational outcomes, wants them to take a test to determine whether or not those teachers meet Oklahoma's standards. I don't know, Ryan. I'm going to call you Ryan. Ryan, I have a feeling you're going to have a difficult time recruiting teachers. Ryan. I have a feeling it's going to be a bit of a challenge for you, Ryan, when people ask about, yeah, Ryan, so I heard that you had pictures of naked women up on your background during one of your executive session meetings. Would you care to explain that, Ryan? Because I heard that you were a Bible thumper. Ryan, would you mind explaining that to me? And Ryan, why is it that Oklahoma ranks dead fucking last in education? Ryan, why is that? Ryan, interesting, right? Yeah. He's blaming the governor. Of course he is. He's the superintendent. Hey, Trudeau, what's up, buddy?
Oh, hey, Dobre Utra. How's another day in the USSRA treating you?
It's going good, buddy. Fired up today. We get people like James Tallarico and the Democrats in Texas, hopefully, standing up for bullshit. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally fired up.
Good.
Ever since your guest came on to talk about who do you think we should put out as Democratic candidates, I've been livid ever since, and you've just been ramping up with each story. I love it.
Good. I'm
definitely
fired up.
And that's what
Yes.
I wanted to talk about was. We're never going to win again if we go to the center. We have to go populist left. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's
agreed.
I mean, we've lost the culture war. We may be on the right side of history, but we've lost. So we need to stop culture war, left-right issues, and just go. We saw the No Oligarchs tour with AOC and Bernie. How they were racking in 35,000 in the stadiums,
huge crowds
in deep red areas.
Correct.
So there's a desire for it on the right too. I mean, I'm not saying we give up on culture war issues. I mean, we obviously we need to protect civil rights, and that's all we should really say is that we're for protecting civil rights and everything that covers: voting rights, LGBTQIA rights, all other minority rights, and so forth. But if we say the boogeyman word it's just going to trigger the hard right. So top bottom needs to be where we go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about trigger. I hear what you're saying, Toodle. I don't care about triggering the hard right. I don't care.
I don't either,
think,
really, but as far as our messaging, we don't want to lose. That's what I'm saying.
Right, from a campaign strategy perspective, and I do this for work, and I also just thinking about it from an after action review. I've said this before. Human rights, defending human rights is boring from a campaign perspective. Now, follow my logic on this. Like I get, we know what the message is, right? That we defend human rights, that we're standing with marginalized communities, that we're defending women, children, members of LGBTQIA, BIPOC community, indigenous community, any the disabled community, any marginalized community. We stand in defense of them, and we're going to be accomplices in the fight. It's boring from a messaging perspective because
agreed.
each group wants to be the front and center of the fight, and I get that, and they deserve it. The problem is the right, because they consume sound bites of information, they can use effective tools like stop the steal, lock her up, fuck Joe Biden, all those kinds of things, because the right is fueled. And before we end the show today, I'm going to talk about authoritarianism. We took a little survey in our mod community last night about the rise of authoritarianism, and part of the rise of authoritarianism is accepting the emotional response to agenda issues. For example, talking about the illegals as they do, the worst of the worst. They're criminals, they're rapists, they're all those kinds of things. They elicit emotional responses. Democrats have not been able to tap into your point. I think to tap into that emotional side, and from my perspective, we've got opportunities to do that now. Democrats protect children. Progressives want to protect your family. Progressives, Democrats support freedom. Little things like that. Little things. I mean, I wrote a whole story about how I would remake the Democratic Party. You can find that on my Substack. Head on over there. Little things like that just goes without saying, but people don't say it. Democrats protect kids. There's your campaign message.
That works great. Appeal to the emotion, because fear is what triggers the right. And if we go with putting one minority in front of the other, they're just going to say another one of their catchphrases, which is define a woman. That's always
correct.
That's always their go-to. But if we appeal to protecting minorities instead of saying which group we're putting first, we're just setting ourselves up. So going for the emotional side on the comfort and protection and hope side, go for the positive emotions instead of the negative emotions. Maybe
correct.
Maybe the emotions.
Like a perfect counter to what you just said about how you got to define a woman. I think a response to that would be, and I've been waiting for somebody to say, is like, we don't worry about definitions. We just want to protect every individual's rights to be themselves.
Exactly.
That's the answer. Mm-hmm. That's the answer to the question. Why are people not willing to say it?
And I know
we're not going to get hung up on definitions. We want to protect people. Why aren't you doing anything to protect women? Throw it right back in their fucking face. Why don't people do it?
I can hear James Tallarico saying the exact words you just said. I mean, he's as you described, he's a Christian pastor. He's obviously he's a Protestant. He's not a nutball Christian, but
correct.
He first came on my radar when I think it was a year or so ago. He was on TikTok where he was in another bill debate where he's debating the author of the bill, and I think it was about teaching the Bible in school. They were trying to force that, or maybe it was the 10 Commandments.
Oh, it's fabulous.
And I
know exactly what you're talking about.
He
just destroyed him.
He just, that was when he came on. I was like, this guy, he can appeal to both sides, because he can appeal to the family values crew, which are, protect the children, the religious evangelicals. He can pick those people off. And of course, his messaging about the voucher program is all speaking to the billionaires versus us, and he's got that populist. Correct. He's got that populist message, which is where we need to go.
He does,
because it's top, bottom, left, right. If we try to pick off the center, even with like inviting independents to come out to where where was it? The oligarchs' playground in New England.
Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, no. Stop that right now.
Exactly.
And even Obama.
Exactly.
Even Obama, he's great, but he shouldn't even be the president. He may show up as a guest, but no.
Oh, I don't mind having Barack be out in front of this. But location matters, right? Don't do it there, because that feeds right into the narrative from the right. Oh, the Democrat, they're just the elitists. I mean, you're literally you've got an opportunity here to do something really good by funding an initiative spearheaded by Texas Democrats to blow up the fucking quorum so they can stop all bullshit legislation in Texas. Exactly. One of the arguments that the right has used effectively against the left is you're all a bunch of elites. So what do you do in response? You go to fucking Martha's Vineyard to hold an event?
Right.
I mean, come on.
Ridiculous. And they could
dumb.
They could message on that, like about the quorum. The whole reason that Texas is able to do that now is because SCOTUS tore apart the Voting Rights Act.
Correct.
And the SCOTUS is totally in the oligarchs' pocket now, and that needs to be the message with the populist left too. Is we need to do something about this out of control SCOTUS.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know, there's so many populist messages that can work, you know, and there. Even for you've probably talked to conservatives one-on-one a ton of times, and if you pull out politics and you talk about issues, they're always like 70-30, 80-20 on the big things.
Yep.
So if you tool the messaging that way, you're going to appeal to people. And I loved how Tellerico was saying, you know, it's you. They're going to take it from you. He was not talking about himself, or he's not talking about, you know, the government, and that's how Trump won. He made them feel like he's protecting you. He speaks
absolutely. That's the authoritarian playbook. Toodle, thank you, brother, for jumping in today.
Yeah, good talking today. Have a great one. Great show.
You too, man. Whee! See you. Thanks, bud. See you later. I mean, this is just such an important point. It's a layup. It's a layup to the Republicans. For a Democratic-led fundraising event to happen in Martha's Vineyard, you don't need to be there to raise money from those people. You should go to Middle America. You should go there. You should go to places that AOC and Bernie went to on the oligarch tour. And this is my criticism. This is my criticism of the DNC. They don't fucking get it. They don't understand. You know what? We don't need them. Don't need them. Don't fucking need them. Progressive candidates across the country, if you're watching, I got you. You can find me here. You can message me. I got you. If you want a message that goes after people, I'm your boy. If you want to get in the fight and you want to get your hands dirty, I'm your boy. If you want blood in your knuckles after these conversations, then that's me. I am so tired of this status quo bullshit. We're going to come up with these great ideas. Well, it is a good idea. It's a great idea to find donors who will support Democrats in Texas to walk out. It's a great idea. But you're going to do it in Martha's Vineyard? You might as well do it on Rodeo Drive. You might as well do it on Park Avenue. Talk about lack of fucking awareness. Give me a break. Anyway, namaste. Pisses me off. Hey, buddy.
Hey, brother. A couple of things. One, Tellerico is a rock star.
Total rock star. Totally agree.
And I say that as a devout atheist who loves this little minister from Texas.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. Two, I did do a little research, and I found that test, the woke test they're giving in Oklahoma, is broken down into 3 parts. The first part, the potential teacher is given a jar of paste and some construction paper. If they take the paste and they put it on the construction paper and they make a little origami, whatever, they fail. If they eat the paste,
is this a joke? Or are you serious?
If they Well, if you listen, you'll figure it out.
Okay,
if they eat the paste, they pass the first part. Then they go to the second part. The second part is that they're then presented with some Dollar Tree knockoff crayons or a nice gel pen with a cushion handle. If they pick the pen, they fail. They have to go to the crayons. Then the third part is a 5-essay question, which they have to write in crayon. If the answer to every question isn't guns and Jesus, misspelled, they fail. And if they do actually write out a statement and any of those words have more than 2 syllables, they go to jail.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So welcome to Oklahoma, where most of the people can't spell Oklahoma. Your comparison was absolutely spot on. We don't want to, the New York and California don't meet our standards. Yeah, we don't.
Exactly.
We absolutely don't.
We don't. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for you in Oklahoma, but I don't. I mean, you continue to vote for this bullshit. Elections have consequences. 50th. Ryan, Steve again, you're the superintendent of schools. Your state sucks. Your state, based on the educational metrics, is the dumbest. Sorry to tell you. Your state is the dumbest.
Well, A, he can't spell educational metrics. B, we all know that educational metrics is just another word for communism.
Yep. So we know 2 things. We know that the wind comes whipping down the plains.
Right.
And Oklahoma is dumb as shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. Welcome to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Get the hell out. Yeah.
Get the hell out.
Yeah, you're right. They're not going to get teachers from outside the state. They're just not. You've got to, first of all, you have to live in Oklahoma. Secondly, you've got to dumb it down to teach their kids. Not because the kids are necessarily dumb, because the government there is dumb. Yeah. No, they're going to stay in the stagnant end of the gene pool until, they get voted out, and good luck with that. That place is so gerrymandered and wrapped up in evangelical Christianism that, it's just, I have no hope for Oklahoma.
I don't either at this point. Not when you're last in education. You are in the bottom 5 of infant mortality, maternal mortality. They are a massive recipient of government funds. They have one of the highest concentrations of people who are on social safety net programs like SNAP, Medicaid, Medicare. What are you people voting for? What are you voting for? Yeah. Wait a minute. I know what it is. As long as you get to go to Sooners games and you get to beat Nebraska, then you're good. Meanwhile, you're dumb, unhealthy, overweight, poor, lazy, generally speaking. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. Anywho, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Love you, brother. Take care.
You too. See ya. We spend a lot of time in this space talking about education. And if they want to throw shade at education, then make sure you're throwing shade at the right people. To literally say those states don't meet Oklahoma standards, those states are like, yeah, thank God. Whew. Thank God we don't meet those standards. Damn. Do you know when the right, and I'm just going to take a pivot here for just a brief moment. Everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. Let's see if we can bang out this gift goal. And thank you to a few people to thank. Let's see here. Thank you to, thank you, Cookie. Haley, thank you so very, very much. Favorite creator, thankful for you in the show. Thank you. That's very sweet. Kate, also thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Steve. Heather, thank you for your $1 and for your $2. And Cookie, thank you for your 25. I appreciate you very, very much. We're rocking through it, guys. And our wife, thank you very much. So we can chip away at this a little bit more too. We spend a lot of time in this space talking about education, and it matters to me. Education matters to me because I firmly believe, and I may just be this fucking radical leftist who believes in human rights. I firmly believe that we'd solve so many problems in our country if we addressed it properly, and we just don't. And I don't know how that's ever going to change. Well, that's one of the reasons that we want to elect progressives, quite frankly, because until we do, it won't change. Chuck, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm a liberal, and I don't view left-wingers as liberals. I don't view left-wingers as advocating for human rights.
What's a left winger then in your mind?
A socialist.
You don't? So I just want to clarify some things. So you are liberal in your beliefs?
I am a liberal. I am a liberal in the.
What does that mean though? But what does that mean to you? I want to make sure I understand what it is you're talking about. When you say you're a liberal, what does that mean?
I advocate for the Constitution as defined by Jefferson and Madison.
You advocate for the Constitution as defined by Jefferson and Madison. Okay, the Constitution that we have. Yes. Okay, so you're a liberal, meaning that you're open-minded and have views towards other people's opinions on things. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and okay. I don't believe, from listening to you, I think that you're under mind control to such a degree you don't realize how closed-minded you are.
I'm under mind control. Okay, yes. So how am I under mind control?
We are all under mind control.
Okay, so how? So let's be specific. Let's not talk in general terms, Chuck. Okay, how am I? Because you said that I'm under mind control. So how am I under mind control?
Your perception. They own your perception. They own the way you view the world.
Who does, Chuck?
The ruling class.
Who is that, Chuck?
Why get bogged down in minutia?
I don't understand what you're saying, and I'm trying to learn.
Okay, let's put it this way. You say you advocate for human rights, yet
I do.
Progressives placed control of the means of production in the hands of the state, which leaves the people without any political or economic power, which makes them serfs.
What are you talking about?
Prior to the federal income tax, the people own the means of production through local governments. America is based on the classical republicanism of ancient Greece and Rome. We should have city-states. We should not have a nation-state.
So you are you a libertarian, Chuck? Are you a libertarian, Chuck?
This fascism. This is anti-human rights.
Chuck, are you a libertarian?
I am a liberal. I am a true liberal.
Cool. Yeah, okay. You're not liberal, my guy. Who did you vote for in the last election? Who did you vote for in the last election?
Let's stay on point. Stay on point. Why are you pivoting?
Chuck, I'm not pivoting. Chuck, this is my... Chuck,
you are anti-human rights.
Take a deep breath. This is my show. I ask you questions, you answer, or you leave. Who did you vote for in the Chuck? Who did you vote for in the last election, please?
You're a closed-minded fascist.
Chuck, who did you vote for? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know that I am apparently now a closed-minded fascist. Okay, that's cool. Sweet. So I got that going for me. Wow. Rhea, how are you today?
No. Oh, I'm good, thanks. Rhea? I wasn't
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
Sorry, I wasn't requesting. Thanks.
No problem. Thanks a lot. So I woke up today, I did my yoga, had my smoothie, and then I was like, I stood in front of the mirror with my positive moments of affirmation and said, "Hey, Steve, you are a fascist." I'm like, okay, didn't realize that. I had no idea. I'm glad Chuck was here to clear it up for me, though. I did not realize that. I'm so grateful for Chuck's interpretation of me. And when you peel the cover back a little bit, you realize, hello, Victoria. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. Chuck was an experience.
Chuck was an experience that I would not recommend for others.
It was, I'm going to go and give it a solid. He's probably got like a 10-second record. He's giving those vibes.
Probably.
Also,
yep.
I think that he is actually a Trump supporter trying to pretend like he understands what liberalism is. Of course, because he would have answered the question. What? It'd be interesting that he didn't answer the question, though. Isn't that funny? I wanted to get up because I did have a suspicion that he might be a 3%er based on some of his commentary. I don't, just because of like some of the like constitutional references, that kind of thing. We actually have a restaurant opening in town and they're giving 3%er vibes. And I literally commented on that about it because they've just given that vibe, the references to the Constitution, liberalism, that kind of stuff. I'm like, you're giving vibes. Very interesting. For those who don't know, 3%ers are a, how do I describe
far-right militant group. Yep.
They're a far-right militant group. They tend to have a lot of constitutional type mindsets, and they can almost come off at times of like having like liberal thought, but they're not. It's considered a hate group, and they are active terrorism. So I worked with a couple of them at one point. It's disturbing.
Yep. They're not the brightest bulbs in the tree either. But anyway, what's on your mind today, friend?
Oh, so I posted a video about the update in my district of this county school attendance policy. So those that don't know or haven't seen the video, essentially this specific school district in my congressional district has now put a policy in place that there will no longer be like excused absences as far as like doctor's notes don't count as that. Now they do have extenuating circumstances for that, but we were kind of waiting for the school district to comment on it, and it wasn't disappointing. They have said that you should go to school, that students should have to learn how to come to school with a cold because they'll have to go to school or they'll have to go to work with a cold when they're older. Yeah. So doctor's notes are not considered an excused absence.
Yeah, that's great. So kids who have to go through treatment, kids who have to leave class because they got to go to a doctor's procedure, kids who can't attend school because of immunocompromised situations. So let's punish the children so that we can condition them for the future of slave labor and capitalism. That makes perfect sense.
And
perfect sense.
So part of the reason this policy went through is Tennessee Republican supermajority has put through legislation that makes it so you get paid based on attendance. So they have to fill seats. It would not be a far stretch to think that they are actively working with the juvenile system in our district to prop that up. And for-profit is a thing here in Tennessee. Tennessee's crime rates were going down in 2022, I believe, but our prison and jail rates were increasing. So it is safe to say that Tennessee is a, prison state. We also had a fun little thing with Tesla yesterday, or at the not at the Capitol, at the airport, where Justin Jones was not allowed to go to a public hearing, a public meeting about Tesla building a underground tunnel just for Teslas to get from the airport to downtown.
Lovely. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
It reminded me of something you just said, and it's not related to education, but we're talking about how basically quotas and statuses, or quotas basically is trying to explain how teachers are going to get paid, all these kinds of things. Well, RFK, and I think this is relevant for this conversation, RFK, who is, don't forget, who's the director of HHS, right? We know who he is, repeatedly shares just bogus bullshit easily contradicted information. And now, similar to your comment, he's talking about how pediatricians get paid. This is wild. You're going to hear Dr. Rubin, who I love, follow him on Instagram. He's always the guy who wears the bow tie and the stethoscope around his neck. He's awesome. He's talking about, he's basically destroying RFK's argument here. This is dangerous. This is extremely dangerous. I want to remind people, especially people who prescribe to, lack of a better term, prescribe to RFK's theories. This shit is dangerous. So here you go.
Published article out there now that says that 50% of revenues to most pediatricians come from vaccines. And then there's a whole structure where Blue Cross and the other insurance companies pay bonuses to the pediatrician to make sure if for example, 95% of if their clients are fully vaccinated, they get huge bonuses. It could be tens of thousands of dollars. And that's why you're a pediatrician. If you say, I want to go slow on the vaccines, or I want to have a little different schedule, your pediatrician will throw you out of his practice.
Unreal.
Because you're now jeopardizing that bonus structure. And these are all perverse incentives that stop doctors from actually practicing medicine and caring for the client because they're looking at the bottom line.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rubin, and RFK Jr. is lying to you again. And I strongly encourage people to point out his lies and stop calling it misinformation, because he manipulates information and purposely lies to push his own agenda. The fact of the matter is that there's no study that exists that actually proves that pediatricians make half of their salary off of vaccines, and that is wholly ridiculous if you think about what actually happens when it comes to vaccines. So what happens is pediatricians will order them from a vaccine manufacturer, and then when they administer the vaccine, they will bill insurance companies for the vaccine and for the administration. And there are studies, including one by the CDC, that show that the amount of money that pediatricians make from vaccines barely cover the costs for the overhead, because it's not just a matter of giving vaccines. You've got to pay your staff, you've got to pay for storage and handling, and insurance companies barely cover those costs, especially with Medicaid. Pediatricians make almost no money off of it, and it's really more of a net loss. And it's definitely a net gain from a public health standpoint, because we are preventing severe illness, hospitalization, and death from these life-saving preventive measures. Also, it's really offensive for RFK Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary to constantly degrade physicians, especially pediatricians who care about children's health, and saying that they make tens of thousands of dollars in bonuses from these companies when that doesn't happen at all. And they're one of the lowest paid specialties in all of medicine when you look at the grand scheme of things. So show your support for your pediatrician by writing a comment about your pediatrician and sharing this post widely.
So you heard that. Basically, just the Secretary of Health and Human Services just flat out lying to people again. Flat out lying to people. It's not even a question of misinformation. It is a bold-faced disinformation strategy. It's going to cost people lives. People are going to accept that information. People are going to go back to fucking made at home remedies. You know, now we know the children in Victoria's district can't even be sick. Sickness is no longer an excuse to miss school. So where it gets really bad is they tell you their fucking strategy. They tell you out loud. So this was I found this the other day on Fox News. We've talked about how they are conditioning the workforce to be more productive as they get older, right? We know that they've already gone after child labor laws in some countries, or in some states. So Charlie Kirk was one of the co-hosts, and I don't even know this. I think this guy's name is Charlie Hurt. So there's Charlie Kirk as a co-host, and Charlie Hurt is on the panel as well. And they're talking about, well, here you go.
You pay a little bit more for blueberries to actually have Americans picking the blueberries, but that's wonderful. Also, allow children to do it as summer jobs. Oh. The idea that your government, that your precious government doesn't allow children to work summer jobs in blueberry fields is just mind-blowing to me.
Well, it's very...
Yeah, you know what? Victoria, I have the answer to all of our problems.
Go for it.
How old are your kids?
3 and 5, I had to think about.
Why the fuck aren't they in the field working right now?
I don't know, lazy little money grubbing, freeloaders.
Seriously, I mean, they've got tiny little hands. They can reach down into the coal mines and get to the spots where adults can't. They can easily their backs are not broken yet. They can easily run up and down the fields picking blueberries.
Fucking
Why aren't they out in the
freeloaders.
field? What a lousy mom you are. Seriously. I mean, you guys heard it. Here's the sound again. You guys heard it.
Let me get the kid.
Yeah, for
Olive,
sure.
come here. Hold on, let me get Olive. Olive, you need a job. Come here, baby.
Yeah, get Olive a fucking job. Let's go. Seriously.
Yeah.
If
We're gonna make the kids work, make the cats work too.
Absolutely.
Fucking freeloader.
Absolutely. So parents, if
Get a
you're out
job.
there and you're 3, 5, 6, and 7 years old, according to the conservatives today, your kid should be out there in the fields working.
Blueberries to actually have Americans picking the blueberries, but that's wonderful. Also, allow children to do it as summer jobs. The idea that your government, that your precious government doesn't allow children to work summer jobs in blueberry fields is just mind-blowing to me.
Well, it's very difficult work, by the way, and it's fine. I'm
wonderful
totally down
work,
with
though.
everything that you're saying.
I'm down with
But the point is,
I'm down with kids working.
for Americans to want to do these jobs, if it costs more, I'm okay with subsidizing that labor because then I think we get more fruits and
You
vegetables.
should reward good things and punish bad things. Do you agree?
Can I call it? I want to call it. I want to call something right now. I would not put it past these same fuckers. And I will say that with my whole chest. I will not apologize for calling them fuckers. That in a few months, probably closer to a few weeks, they will start making an argument for enslaving people.
They already are.
They already are, but like they're going to.
They've already made that argument.
Whole fucking chest.
Yeah, don't forget what Trump talked about when you're talking about because the farming industry went back to him and say, hey, dude, you're really crippling our industry. So he said, oh yeah, we're going to let some people stay, but they're going to be under the control of the farmer. That is indentured servitude, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
That is indentured servitude. So I mentioned this earlier. So now it's time to listen to Stephen Miller, sadly, because the timing is just right to listen to Mr. Miller. Hold on, hang on one second. He's psycho. We know this is Stephen Miller. Sorry, it keeps starting from scratch. Hold on a second here. All right, here you go.
Maybe you should get a kid
Children will
to
be
help you
taught
work.
to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous communist woke culture that was destroying this country. Where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security matter less than the feelings of liberal ideologues.
So Mr. Miller's insistence.
So can you believe that shit? Like, again, the statement that really, when I clipped it, he wants children to be taught to love America, to be patriots. We're going to make sure these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. I want my children to grow up and follow their dreams. I want my children to realize that they're not slaves to the system. I want my children to be progressives out there that are defending the rights of marginalized communities. I want my children, my boys, to respect women's rights to their body. I want my daughter to not settle.
They're not
But
talking
that's
about
just
white
me.
children. And they're not
But that's
talking
just
about
me.
white children.
Unfucking believable.
Yeah.
You guys, when we talk about, I don't mean to be hyperbolic, and actually I'm not being hyperbolic. Actually, in fact, I do mean to be hyperbolic. This is the shit that we've been telling you about. When I talked painstakingly about connections to 1930s Germany. This is what we're talking about. The reason that we make these comparisons, do you think I enjoy making these comparisons? The reason we make them is because they're fucking real. Mm-hmm. Stephen Miller just told you we expect our children to be taught to love America, to be patriots. We are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. We are the ones asking the questions.
But my definition of loving America is not good enough. What I'm doing is not loving America. They want us to go back to the fucking Gilded Age. That's all they want. They want us to go back being in our place. Black, brown, and indigenous people, women, all back in their places. Children, back in their places. Children are commodities to the right.
They are.
It's why they won't
So are women.
Yeah, and so are women. And Black, brown, and indigenous people are second-class citizens, if not worse. And probably worse. And part of this like whole argument that they're doing, like this whole thing, it is about making sure that white men continue to hold the power.
Agreed. G. Weber, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you both doing?
Fine. Thank you for being here. What's on your mind?
I just had one question because this has been really bothering me. What do you guys think about them bringing back things like debtor's prison? Because that's kind of where I see things going.
Oh, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. No doubt about it. I mean, we already know that people who are being houseless are going to be interned. We know that. So it's what's next. No doubt about it.
Right. I just hadn't heard a lot of people talking about it. And that was something that was, especially when, Victoria, when you were just talking about the Gilded Age and things like that. And I was like, yep, here comes debtor's prison.
I mean, and what they'll do and how they'll sell it to people is what we're already doing. We already see this in states like Alabama, where you go to prison for whatever crime and your labor is given out. Like
exactly.
You're indentured out to the community. I mean, I see it in my community here in Tennessee. I see it, in Alabama, and we will see this eventually. Like it will become part of the thing, and they'll justify it. It's why, like, they don't care, and their thought processes are so antiquated and so like rooted in oppression that it will permeate every part of our society. I would not be surprised if, at the extreme of this, that they start making it so they're making it already harder and harder for women to continue working and be added in society. They will continue, and they will make it impossible for families, impossible. Like we're already seeing it across the country. They just test it out in southern states because it's the easiest place to do it out, because most southern states have supermajorities of Republicans because of the gerrymandering.
They're telling you out loud. The expectation is they want. I mean, let's be real as to what these concentration camps are. It is labor. That's what this is going to become when you are illegally deporting people against their will, and you are trying to say you're going to close the border. Well, you're going to have to get that labor from somewhere. So that labor is going to come from the back of the for-profit prison industry. That's where it's going to come from. Everything, like I say it every single day. Follow what, Victoria?
The money.
Follow the money. Everything is connected to this. Everything. The entire privatization of the education system, privatization of the mail system, privatization of energy. All these kinds of things are meant to enrich the people at the top. And it's just so obvious. And again, removing protections for consumers so that they're not getting ripped off by the banking industry. Why else would you do that other than to enrich yourselves? It makes no sense. But
right. I think I felt like it started with like women's, taking away women's rights to their bodies and trying to force a bigger population. And then it was all heading down the same road to imprison people for free labor.
Absolutely. Weber, G-Web, thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. You too.
You got it. See you later.
I mean, I think that I don't know if anyone watches the Gilded Age, but I do. Fun fact, I love historical shows, TV shows and whatnot. Just to put it in perspective, like when we're talking about this Gilded Age mindset, like a lot of money, what we would consider, even today, I would consider 300, like, for example, there is one of the characters invents something and he gets a $300,000 payout, right? Now that $300,000 is a lot of money to me, but I'm working class, a working poor, essentially, because both Nick and I make under $200,000 total annually. I think maybe a little bit more, but not much more. And realistically, the tax the taxes put in place that Kamala would have put in place would have taxed people 400,000 plus or more. So in one of the most recent episodes of The Gilded Age, one of the young footmen gets a $300,000 payout. I was curious how much money that would be in today's. So it would be the equivalent of, if I did the math correct and have the year right, it would be $11 million. Almost 12 million.
Yep, sounds about
in
right.
Today's money.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it depended on the year that it happened, but think about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? $11 million is a lot of money. I would settle for a small loan of $1 million. Small loan.
Sure.
That would solve the majority of my problems and give me a nice little nest egg.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not greedy.
Yeah, and yeah, I get it. I want to shift gears real quick and just kind of talk about this because it relates to about what I'm going to play for you, some sound from Pete Buttigieg. But I found this research study, and I asked my mom to take a test last night about how authoritarian are you, and it's interesting because the way the questions are worded are extremely weird. So you have to kind of really think about. And people who know me, I spend too much time potentially analyzing this kind of stuff. But it was it's a very obvious indicator as to how our country is shifting. Well, the world, quite frankly, is shifting towards authoritarianism. We're seeing it. So this is the summary. Growing concerns about the appeal of an authoritarian leader in the United States led PRRI to conduct a new survey of more than 5,000 Americans that revisits long-established measures of authoritarianism and the relationship to Christian nationalism, examines Americans' commitment to democratic values and willingness to accept political violence, and explores how authoritarian attitudes are linked to views about immigrants and immigration, cultural change, gender roles, and the patriarchy. Relying on two classic approaches to measure authoritarianism, PRRI finds that most Americans do not hold highly authoritarian views, which is great. Revisiting the work first developed, the authoritarian personality response from the 1950s, and then later adapted into the right-wing authoritarian scale, which we took last night, PRRI finds that 43% of Americans score high on the authoritarian scale, compared to 37% who score low. 2 in 10 Americans qualify as having mixed opinions. Around 4 in 10 Americans score high on an alternative measure of authoritarianism that relies on child-rearing preferences, Gilded Age stuff that we were just talking about. This is a drop from 57% of Americans who scored high on the same test in 2016. Alternatively, there's clear divides from political ideologies. Right-wing authoritarian views are more prevalent among Republicans, particularly those who hold favorable views of Trump, white evangelical Protestants, and weekly churchgoers. 2/3 of Republicans score high on the authoritarian scale, compared with 35% of independents and 28% of Democrats. Republicans who hold favorable view of Trump's are 36 percentage points more likely to become and are influenced by authoritarianism. White evangelical Protestants, 64%, the religious group most likely to score high on the scale compared with others. A majority of Republicans score high, with Democrats scoring significantly lower. I'm not going to go through all the data. Point being is that a large chunk of population of our country favors authoritarianism. Not the majority, thankfully. Not the majority. But it's rooted in all the things that Trump talks about, all the things that Stephen Miller talks about, all the things about the kids should go back to school. Literally the tenets of fascism are included in these questions, like your gender ideology, things like that. We are in a position now where our country is being invaded by Christian nationalists. Our country is being invaded by authoritarians. And the majority of people who don't believe these things have not been able to respond. And I think finally we are starting to see some response. Pete Buttigieg, whose names came up a little bit earlier, speaks about this in this great interview with Steve Inskeep from NPR, by the way. I met Steve Inskeep at a conference in D.C. years ago. A brilliant man. I could have talked to him for hours. he potentially will have his voice silenced because of funding cuts to NPR. This is his interview with Pete Buttigieg.
I presume you don't think Trump is a good president. No. Do you see him as a bad president who's wrong about a lot of things, or as an existential threat to democracy in this country?
I would go well beyond bad president. There are presidents who you disagree with and presidents you agree with. This is, I think, categorically different. We have not had a president, left, right, or center, who has tried to destroy companies, universities, and broadcasters who criticize his government. There's been rough and tumble politics all through U.S. history, but that is not just different, it's different in a way that offends every fiber of American civic values, left, right, and center. We have had disagreements over court rulings, but never had an administration that has been so ready to just say no when a court says you have to do this. That is threatening at a different and much deeper level than the regular kind of push-pull of the separation of powers between the executive and the courts. We have a president who really is attempting to become an autocrat and in some ways has succeeded.
Has succeeded.
He has succeeded in changing the conduct of private actors, universities, companies, broadcasters. That is as big a part or bigger of what autocracy looks like, that self-editing that he's causing to happen, than kind of direct government control. So yes, in some ways he's succeeded. Now, whether that holds or whether that changes, that's up to the rest of us, especially because he's doing it in the service of a very unpopular agenda. Tax cuts for the rich, cuts to Medicaid and Social Security, empowerment of corporations that are already too powerful.
I think that pretty much tells it like it is. That's why we need people like Pete, right? Everything that we're seeing, everything that we're seeing now, that we saw back in 2016, that we saw during the rise of Trumpism, all of these things are all literally in the master race playbook. It is literally written down for us. We can look back on it. We can make these comparisons. We know about the rise of the Reich. We know about the Reichstag. We know about all the dissemination of the German Constitution, going after the democratic institutions with a small d, the news media, science, the whole 9 yards. It is literally history rhyming once again. I don't need to explain it to anybody anymore, because those of you who are in here who support what we do, you understand. You get it. And I know a lot of you have reached out to me and said, I had no idea the connection. So thank you for telling us about it. It's my pleasure. I do it because it's necessary. But people on the right will still not accept it. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't want to be compared to a Yahtzee. I wouldn't want to accept it either. But maybe you should start. Because autocrats don't give a fuck if they have a loyal fan base or not. Fascist leaders don't give a fuck. They will find a way to identify you as a threat and kick you off the island too. They don't care. What you think, don't forget, there were people who supported Schmittler's rise to power who got shipped off. Don't forget, there were people in his administration who at one point were considered loyal to him, who challenged him and then were disappeared. You think you're safe? You're not. You're not. You're just not. And when we talk about the statements that Stephen Miller makes about our children will learn to be this, our children will learn to do that.
I mean, nope. Steve, look, we've got an apologist in the comments who's literally saying that Trump hasn't silenced anyone, and that's just not factually correct. They just don't want to associate their Lord and Savior with someone who is actively suppressing people and suppressing CBS, suppressing, NPR, suppressing all these voices who are screaming the loudest. It will spread. It will spread. And I'm not going to have a conversation with a troll in the comments. Get some testicular fortitude and hop up here in the box, or shut the fuck up. Whatever. But again, they believe it. they believe that he is not a bad person and that somehow he is not going to do this. But they'll say the left is doing the same things. The left is doing this. The left is doing that. It's not the same. If you can't see the difference, you're in a cult.
Yep. All right, let's recap. So we started with our show today talking about the biggest scandal in presidential history. This is going to unravel a whole bunch of shit, and a lot of people are going to be exposed, and that's what we want. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell is not a victim. We know that she's a predator. We know that she indoctrinated girls, that she groomed girls, that she abused girls. We know that now that Jeffrey Epstein apparently is stealing humans from the Mar-a-Lago spa. And that officially is now the reason why Donald Trump severed his relationship, not the lies that he's told us before. Where the fuck is Pam Bondi? Where the fuck is Kash Patel? Where the fuck is Dan Benino? I want to read you one more time Dan Benino's statement before we end today, because I think it's very, very telling. Again, don't forget, he built his entire career on exposing the deep state. And then when in a position to do so, naming names, sharing information, blowing the cover off of shit. This is what he writes. Where is it? Hold on a second here. I missed my cue. During my tenure as the Deputy FBI Director, I have repeatedly relayed to you that the things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. The Director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these affirmation matters has shocked me to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We're going to let the answers we all deserve. As with any investigation, and I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth. Not my truth, not your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defended her. Respectfully, Dan. Again, my own theories. You would not make a statement like that unless people that you are convinced that you can trust were not part of the problem. You wouldn't make a statement if it was only the radical left deep state that you've claimed to be going after for years. You wouldn't make a statement saying, it has shocked me to my core. Donald Trump is on the list. Donald Trump is a predator. He has abused women. He's abused girls. He has lied about it numerous times. He's got 27 allegations at least of violence or of predatory behavior towards women. I played the sound for you earlier. Pictures of him with young girls nude on his laps, on his lap. If you are going to put your eggs in that basket in support of that person, then I don't give a fuck about you.
They support him. Don't forget, he said it was a privilege to go to Epstein's Island.
Exactly.
He said it was a privilege. Knowing what you know. I have a video that is getting stifled right now.
Yep.
He is a predator. Only a predator would call Epstein's Island a privilege. And
here's the sound, friends.
Who supports him, you are supporting his behavior. Period.
Here's the sound.
End of story. You're culpable.
If you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Yeah.
That's
no, but you
moments.
did want to go to. Yeah. I don't believe him. He's a fucking liar. He went to
let's keep in mind the island is irrelevant because a lot of the crimes that were listed against him by Maria Farmer and Stacey Williams happened in New York, happened at either at Trump Tower or at Epstein's apartment, or at Mar-a-Lago. So again, that's a nice pivot.
Again, if Bill Clinton put his ass in jail, any person on that list go to jail, throw away the key. I cannot stress that enough. And if that takes down our government, good.
Good.
I don't care.
Don't give a shit.
Through, let's clear out the pipes and get some nice, clean, not shit politicians in office. But you know what? MAGA Republicans, DeWolf, in the comments, support that type of predatory behavior. So they will not hold him accountable. They will not. They'll scream about Biden, about Clinton, whatever, the Obamas, whatever, but they will not hold him accountable. So you are complicit in predatory behavior, and you can't prove otherwise. Hold him accountable. That's the only way.
Good spot. Anything else you'd like to add for final thoughts today, Victoria?
I'm actually going to do a video on showing you how prevalent predatory behavior is and in our society, and how this app actually props it up. I have a sneaking suspicion the video is going to be held or not get posted, but I am going to take issue with a woman who is complicit in her husband's crimes and actively putting him in positions where he can be around children. She admits it in her 10-minute long video. And I want to show that, not because I give a shit about this woman or her feelings, but I want to show how prevalent predatory behavior is and how our society props it up.
Well said. Thank you for being here, friend. I love you.
Thank you.
Now take your vice and get the hell out of here. If you know, you know. Thank you, everybody, for today. These topics are important, right? I mean, this to me, this is a bigger issue. You know, obviously, it's political. It's politically charged because of the relevance, because of the impact it has. But this is a bigger issue. That there are children. Children. Let's just focus on children for now. It's bad enough. There are children in our system that are being abused every single day. Some of the most heinous acts that anybody could ever imagine that are being perpetrated by the rich, by the elite, because they see it as a hobby. It's like a notch on the bedpost. And the president of the United States is complicit. Either complicit or, well, let me back up. The president of the United States is involved. And I don't give a fuck who else is as well. Put them all in jail. Ask yourself a simple question, MAGA. Are you going to admit that liberals are right? Or do you support pardoning of P3DO? It's really, really simple. It's really, really simple. This is where we're at now. And there's going to be a lot of reckoning. And I'm fired up after we hear people like James Tallarico and we hear Texas voters saying enough of this bullshit. Take back our country. Take it back. They took it from us. Autocrats, Christian nationalists, right-wing lunatics, conspiracy theorists, they took it away. They took it. Some of that is our fault too, because too much apathy, too much pearl clutching. Get your fucking head out of your fucking ass. Stop looking for fucking perfection. Go to the polls and vote. I don't give a fuck how you get there. I don't give a shit if your feelings are hurt. I don't give a flying fuck if your candidate's not perfect. Don't give a shit. Because of that apathy, we have a predator in the fucking White House. We have predators in Congress. We have predators littered throughout our political speak. Enough. We're going to rate our friend Danny, friends. If you guys wouldn't mind going and saying hi to Danny. Danny's doing the work. DANI, in case you don't know Danny. Danny is doing the work. Similar to what the things that we talk about here. She's doing the work, and I love her immensely. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, mods. You guys are spectacular. Don't forget, friends, if you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can do so. Don't forget, we are crowdfunded here. Any contributions make to the show, we really, really appreciate. I love you all very much. Thank you for being here. Mods, you're the best. See you.